What's going on? 10:01. Good morning, live from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. SEC Media Day is getting underway today. 3HL live from Atlanta to keep you updated on all the SEC happenings. Schools speaking today are Vanderbilt, South Carolina, LSU, and Ole Miss. Lenora Sellers, Shane Beamer, Diego Pavia, and Clark Lee will all be on 3HL today throughout the show. The MLB draft got started last night. Speaking of the SEC, saw 4 Vols drafted in the first round. The Volunteers led all schools with a program record 8 players selected in the opening 3 rounds of this year's draft, including first-rounders in Liam Doyle, Gavin Killen, Andrew Fisher, and Marcus Phillips. The Chiefs have until 4 p.m. Eastern Time Tuesday to sign franchise-tagged guard Trey Smith to a multi-year contract extension. Smith will earn $23.4 million on the franchise tag if a long-term deal cannot be completed by Tuesday's deadline. Smith is the only player in the NFL on the franchise tag. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Lucas is gone for the week, and the inmates are running the asylum as a result. Good morning. Happy Monday. Hope your weekend was phenomenal. We're happy to have you for the next 3 hours, just Robert and me. 615-737-1045 is how you get involved. We've got Cam Ward talk. We've got the end of Nashville SC's unbeaten streak. But the place that we have to start, and of course, SEC Media Days, as Robert just told you, 3HL, hanging out down there, making all things happen. A loaded week for them. We know they'll absolutely crush. But the place that we have to start is what took place on Friday night at Bridgestone Arena. We had WWE Smackdown in town, followed up on Saturday night by UFC at Bridgestone. Both were awesome. I didn't go to the UFC fight because I was doing Fox 7 to 10, though I probably will the next time it comes back, just to take in all the sights and sounds and enjoy a spectacular sporting event in the city. But I got to say, you were right. It's the only time I'm going to say it to you. But you were right. I had a great time at WWE Smackdown, and I wouldn't say that I was against it going in. Like, I didn't give myself any preconceived notions. I just know that wrestling's not my bag and probably not my crowd, and that I wasn't going to know what the hell was going on at any given point. And I made us about an hour and a half late to the thing.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you upset? Did we miss many critical matches for your storylines? You basically provided running commentary for the entirety of the, what is the correct terminology for where it was that we were sitting?
Ringside.
Ringside?
We were ringside.
Ringside, but there was like a hard camera, you said?
We were on hard camera. So that is the camera that is fed to television, yes.
Okay, so we were on the hard camera ringside, 5th row, and you said that's the closest you've ever seen. How many WWE matches or WWE events have you been to in your life?
Probably like 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there. I went a lot as a kid, and then I had friends who wrestled, so when you got comp tickets for them, similar to the NFL, like if you have a player or a coach who's giving you comp tickets, they're never like ringside seats. They're always up in the nosebleed. So like I've been to a bunch of shows, but I've never been that close to the ring to do a show.
And then to watch you giving running commentary to the entire ringside section that we were having, it was delightful to the people sitting in front of you because Robert basically provided drunken play-by-play for the entire evening, which was fun for me because I had no idea who these people were or what the things that they were trying to set up for were had to do with what was going on in the ring and outside the ring and what's happening now. What do you mean it's a dark match versus something that's on television? I also love that it's a live televised event because you know exactly when it's going to end, and I'm a big fan of that. But I had a great time, and I did not expect to. It was fun to see a couple people from the audience ask. We were walking back up to refill our tequila sodas from ringside, and a couple of people stopped us or stopped Robert first because he was waddling in front of me.
I don't even know if it was waddling.
No,
Maybe
it was a
stumbling.
waddle. It was a waddle.
I was stumbling at that point.
Stumbling was later at the Harriet's rooftop. No, it was still a light waddle on the way up back to the concourse to refill our tequila sodas. But you got stopped by a couple of people who were asking you how I was having or how my time was going, and then they quickly saw me right behind you. And I was able to tell them, yeah, I'm having a great time. This is cool. It was a cool event. I would go back to a WWE event. And I'm not sure. So, like, the level Smackdown is what? It's like, would it be like AAA baseball as opposed to SummerSlam or WrestleMania or something like that? Like, what am I looking at here?
So those are WWE and SmackDown are the vehicles, right? They start the storylines. It's where you get invested in the people. And then SummerSlam is the pay-per-views, or now I think it's premium PLE, premium live event. So the weekly television shows are really just a vehicle to get you invested. So you will pay, back in the day, pay to buy the pay-per-view, but now so you'll be invested to go download Peacock so you can watch the wrestling events on there. I feel like SpongeBob when Squidward was like, nah, I don't like Krabby Patties. I don't want them. Get those Krabby Patties away from me. And he gets locked in the vault with all the Krabby Patties, and SpongeBob goes, you like Krabby Patties, don't you? You like them, don't you, Squidward? That is me right now. I am Bob, you are Squid, and I am very happy to know that you had an exceptional time.
Yeah, I had a great time. I appreciate you letting me have a taste of your world for an evening at Bridgestone Arena. It was a lot of fun. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is where the show is being live streamed today, of course, as are all the shows. You can always interact with us there. The chat is very excited to hear our review of the WWE event. And like I said, I made Robert about an hour and a half late to the event. And we got there, though, right in time for our boy, Jelly.
As soon as we got in there, I was like, oh, you could not have planned this for your purposes any more perfect.
Well, I was texting some people to find out, all right, what time do I have to go to this thing? what time do I have to be there to support my friend? And that, and he was great. You told me, because I don't know what to gauge his performance off of, because like I said, I've never, outside of that Netflix documentary, I've never actually watched a wrestling broadcast. So that was my first exposure to, that's in person, so it's not the televised event. But I wasn't sure what to compare his performance to. He comes out singing Liar like he's going to do a bit of a show, and then he's very quickly interrupted by, this is Logan Paul, right? Jake Paul's the other one.
I got to set this up. But yes, so Jelly comes out, and this is very traditional, storytelling, WWE-esque. But Jelly comes out, performs his song, he works his way to the ring, he gets in the ring, and then he is interrupted by Logan Paul.
Proud. Everyone is here to see real WWE superstars. Certainly not to listen to music made for people who have tattoos of their children but don't have custody of them.
Oh.
Boo.
I forgot about that line. That's a pretty good line.
I'm screaming at this point.
Listen, Jelly.
Oh, I see us. Oh,
you see us?
Yeah, on the live shot. I hadn't watched the show.
You belong on a stage, not in the WWE ring. And you know what I'm disgusted by? Celebrities, influencers, personalities, whatever you want to classify this as, coming in to our industry, leeching off of our success.
Which is ironic because that's exactly what Logan Paul did.
I assume that was done with intent.
Right. So, I mean, that's a great thing for him to do as a bad guy, to be like, I'm very, if you want a pro wrestling history lesson, very Steve Corino and ECW, to be like, I'm tired of all this hardcore stuff. I'm a real wrestler. I'm the king of old school. I don't have to bring in tables and chairs and kendo sticks and thumbtacks to beat you guys. I'm a real wrestler. Like, it's very Steve Corino-esque, where it's like, oh, all you celebrities and people want to come in here and take our spotlight, something that we trained and worked extremely hard for. And it's like, Logan, you've been doing this for like 2 years, and you get to pre-rehearse all of your matches for like a whole week. But Jelly did an exceptional job, and he actually got
exceptional.
Exceptional.
You're not just saying that because you know he listens?
No, I'm saying that because celebrities have come into WWE and done a poor job a ton of times. Like, for instance, Steve-O and the Jackass guys did a segment with WWE once, and they didn't know how to sell, and they didn't know the timing, and the whole thing looked disjointed.
But Jelly's like a legit wrestling fan, so he would have known what this looks like, and I know he's been training with them in Orlando for months because he's going to be a big part of SummerSlam.
Correct. Yes, and the match has been announced now. It will be he and Randy Orton, the fella who came out. I know who Randy Orton is. Against Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre was the large man.
Is the one who came out and jumped Randy Orton, right?
And Buck keeps going, oh my God, he's huge. He's massive.
I mean, they are.
You got to see Sheamus up close. Sheamus was massive.
Yeah, Sheamus turns out very, very good at what he did. Won his match at the end of the event. I gotta say, I'll give you more of this because I want your review of me for the audience. I think the audience would rather hear from you from what you remember, given that we had, an entire pitcher of margaritas between the two of us, and then, several double tequila sodas by the time we finally got down to ringside. Why did we get
doubles? That was tough.
That was your idea. You sauntered up to the bar and said, let me get a couple of double Patron sodas. I'm like, do you know how much that's going to cost you? Like $75. You sure you want to do that?
It was $58.
Okay. Not so bad, but I want to get into a couple of things here because I do have some like legitimate like sports reporter observations from a WWE event that I think are worth mentioning here. But I'm going to remind you very quickly that, of course, 104.5 The Zone is down in Atlanta for SEC Media Days. 3HL all week is there, so you can tune in as they broadcast live from the event. Hear all the latest SEC news during 4 days of special interviews and conversations that you just won't get anywhere else. The SEC Media Day coverage is sponsored by Brian's Motorsports and Medical House Calls. For more info and a schedule of events, visit 1045thezone.com/events. We know it's SEC Media Days and Lucas isn't here, by the way, which is I think that Lucas is actually upset that he's in Brazil instead of covering SEC Media Days. Like, I think that's the one thing that would bother him.
He's okay.
He's doing okay.
He's all right.
But what we did, because I was trying to figure out, all right, how the hell are Robert and I going to do SEC Media Days coverage when that is just simply not our bag? So we made Lucas work harder, and we made him record a bunch of spots to talk about all the SEC teams that are going on each day throughout the course of the week. So we're going to have you covered through our own particular kind of prism for SEC Media Days. But, of course, you know that 3HL is going to be down there and crushing it. All right, so just to put a bow on the WWE thing, I was shocked how athletic they are. Like, just to see the kind of backflips and stunts and jumps and all these different things, how well choreographed it is. And I know a wrestler at the Atlanta event on Saturday night, didn't he like blow his knee out or something like that?
Yeah, Seth Rollins did a backflip back into the ring and messed his knee up pretty bad.
So I have a lot more respect for the art of professional wrestling, understanding or just seeing up close and in person how actually athletic these guys and gals are. That was really, really cool. Beyond that, I just thought it was a very well-produced event. My understanding, Robert, is the people that used to run College Game Day are now producing the WWE telecasts.
I didn't know that.
As well, I was talking to a couple of my friends that work at ESPN, and when I'm blanking on the name of Nick Khan. When Nick Khan went over from ESPN, or from the agency world, representing a lot of ESPN people, to basically helping run TKO and WWE.
I believe he's their CFO. I would have to double check that.
But anyway, he brought a lot of the College Game Day people over to actually produce the televised event. So I don't know what it looked like on television, what we went to, but I thought that to keep it within the confines of TV, they did a great job just getting things done, act after act, match after match. All right, let people hear your review of me, because I want credit for the fact that I yeeted and I didn't know what I was doing the entire time.
You did yeet. He did yeet. Oh, I wish there was a video of Buck eating.
Oh, you were too drunk to take videos, and I always have my camera on me, so unfortunately for you, the world knows what you look like and not what I look like.
Well, that's good. They need to see this beautiful face. Buck did a great job. You did not come into it with like any kind of reservations. I felt like you were involved. You were chanting. You were hollering with me. You weren't like, oh, this is dumb. Like, at no point did you make me feel bad for being a fan of it.
And you expected me to absolutely do that.
Yes, I expected you to put poo all over it, which, I mean, it was a very nice evening. And we left. We smoked a drunk cig on the way, talking about all
We did smoke a drunk cig on the way to the one hotel. That's right.
Highlight for me. I don't remember that walk. Highlight for me, getting to see Trish Stratus in person.
In a shirt that said "Your First Crush," which is so true. Like, Trish Stratus has been doing it for 25 years.
She was. And she was incredible. They had their event in Atlanta last night with Evolution and all women's wrestler pay-per-view. It was great. So SmackDown, all in all, Buck, I will give you an 8.5 as a fan.
An 8.5 out of a 10?
You are officially christened as a WWE fan.
Well, what would have put me at a 10? Because you kept trying to goad me into like stealing one of these belts from like fans. Fans have their own. You wouldn't
force someone to defend their
why
fake
do I
title.
want that Toys R Us looking WWE belt? And then I realized that they charge $500 for those things.
Yes, the Toys R Us are one section, and then the hard metal leather ones are complete.
Those are real.
Well, they had a super smart thing where they started selling championship belts with college logos on them. So you could get an Indiana heavyweight champion belt.
I would like that.
I'm telling you.
My birthday's on Sunday.
Okay. That was nice.
Because this was your birthday present. Me
yes,
getting...
you made that painfully obvious.
Well, because I wanted to make sure that you knew that I wanted to get your birthday out of the way, even though it's after mine in the month of August, because I just want the focus to be on my birthday at the end of the week.
Yes, we understand.
All right.
I had a great time. Thank you for the birthday gift.
You're very welcome. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in at any point. Just a quick note on the back end. Nashville SC's streak did come to an end. We're probably not going to do a lot of soccer coverage with Lucas out this week, though I do think we have something going on with the soccer team on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken.
That is true.
So we will look forward to that. But they did have their 15 unbeaten result streak end in Miami over the weekend. Inter Miami was able to outlast them 2-1. Not the best game by Nashville SC by any stretch, but it was certainly a fun result to see them tested against Inter Miami, who's been on a bit of a heater here lately. And, Robert, it's the first match that they've outright lost since April 19th. That's crazy. That is insane that the team has not actually lost until Saturday night since April 19th. That's like 2 weeks before the NFL draft.
It's all because you didn't go.
Because I didn't go. You didn't go either.
Well, my tardiness or absence from these games has no bearing on their win or losses like yours does.
No, that's fair. Well, what we do have, we have zero bearing on, but we're going to have Lucas carry us through coming up next, are the biggest storylines of SEC Media Days. Greg Sankey has already spoken. There are 4 institutions, 4 programs who will be made available to the media today. 3HL has a great lineup of interviews planned for you, and we will get to one big thing from every SEC program going today at SEC Media Days coming up next. Premier Generators is here to help you. Do not be unprepared when the next big storm strikes. Premier Generators, now in Nashville, is the largest certified Generac dealer in Tennessee. When those power outages strike, make sure you protect your family with a top-tier generator, expertly installed by local specialists. Premier Generators dedicates itself solely to generators, offering unmatched expertise, plus you can enjoy the peace of mind that comes with an extended 10-year warranty. Don't wait for the next storm. Schedule your consultation today. Visit premiergenerators.com. That's premiergenerators.com. Be prepared and choose Premier Generators for reliable power solutions. If you want to give them a call, their number is quite simple. It's 1-855-797-4766. That's Premier Generators at 1-855-797-4766. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Hopefully you got one of those Hattie B's Joyland burgers last week during Nashville Scene Cheeseburger Week. Robert's been dreaming about them since
I froze one, so...
No, you did not put one in the freezer. You showed up today with a vat of turkey chili.
Ooh, I might
That
have
actually
to eat
smelled good. It's the first thing that you brought into work to eat that I've been at least tempted by.
I might have to eat the frozen burger first today because I'm worried about the integrity of the bun, like heating it back up.
Why wouldn't you just take the bun off and like put all the things on a new bun at some point?
I don't have a bun in my possession. I'm just going to eat it. Okay. I'm going to eat it. And probably the turkey chili, too.
You can jump in. What's the biggest storyline to come out of or to be asked about at SEC Media Days? Greg Sankey has already spoken this morning. He addressed a variety of different things. Lucas is obviously gone, and he is our college football expert around here. But don't worry, he's going to have you covered with a few audio clips of one big thing to know about every program that will speak at SEC Media Days. Today, it's LSU, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt. Robert, who's on 3HL today? I know Lenora Sellers and Diego Pavia. They also are having Clark Lee. Who else?
That is correct. They will also have, let me check my list, Shane Beamer, head coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks, Clark Lee, and Austin Simmons, Ole Miss's quarterback, I believe.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Barring no unexpected changes. I think they recorded some interviews this morning, but I don't know when they're scheduled. So hopefully they will be on, but I think currently they are scheduled to be on.
So Brian Kelly and LSU were the first to go this morning. They've already concluded their media availability. Brian Kelly addressed a variety of different things, including their struggles in their season openers under his tenure or during his tenure at LSU. They also brought Chris Hilton, Garrett Nussmeier, and linebacker Whit Weeks to SEC Media Days. So Lucas has prepared about, what are they all, about a minute long, these primers?
Oh, you are cutting him short. They are all about, we do not have one today shorter than a minute and 43 seconds.
It's like when he does an ad read. He just won't shut up.
Well, he was like, he wasn't complaining, but he was like, oh, that's a lot of work. And then he started doing them. He's like, oh, I really like doing these. This is so much fun. So you can probably hear the joy in his voice.
Like I said, he's the only person who could take a beautiful trip to the beaches of Brazil with his lovely fiancée, Megan, and still be, at least in part, thinking about what's going on at SEC Media Days.
A fun fact and something to think about while you're listening to these is Lucas is a psychopath, and he does not edit himself. If he doesn't get it done in one take, he scraps the entire project. So there were times when he was recording these, and I was like, buddy, please, like, I'll fix it. Just start from
shut
there.
Up.
He recorded, I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Texas A&M. He had to record Texas A&M like 4 or 5 times. I was like, buddy, start from where you're at. I will fix it. I promise. He was like, no, I have to do it in one take.
What an amateur. All right. Well, let's hear Lucas's one big thing about the LSU Tigers in 2025.
One big thing for LSU football is finding the balance. A couple years ago, that team with Jaden Daniels, elite offensive football team. One of the best in LSU history with Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. on the outside. Defense was dreadful. Fast forward to 2024. Defense takes a huge step forward, gets closer to middle of the pack in the SEC. It's not a liability week in and week out. Offense is one-dimensional. Couldn't run the football. Had a hard time pass protecting, getting into third and longs. And now come to 2025, and it's probably the most talented roster Brian Kelly's had so far. Can you find the balance of having the offense and defense at a level that can put you in a place where the expectations are incredibly high? We've talked about it ad nauseum about Brian Kelly. If you don't make the college football playoff this year, it's a failure. If LSU's not in the national championship discussion this year, it's a failure. Probably Brian Kelly's most talented team since he got to Baton Rouge, and one of the best transfer portal classes in the country. We know about Garrett Nussmeier coming back, the hype around him as a potential top pick, as a potential Heisman contender. Looking at his wide receivers that are coming in via the transfer portal, Nick Anderson out of Oklahoma and Barryon Brown out of Kentucky, local guy, Pearl Cone High School, absolute speedster, a threat in the return game, some exciting pieces around Nussmeier. But if LSU can just find the balance of having that defense continue to elevate from that dreadful year 2 years ago, and the offense be able to be multidimensional and not just a team that's going to drop back and just gunsling it with Garrett Nussmeier, then this team will have every opportunity to be in the national championship discussion as expected, and that is the expectation for 2025. Love you, Bert.
Oh, I love you too, buddy. I miss him. Oh, he does so sweet. It's like listening to a voicemail of a long-gone relative.
He just leaves you little Easter eggs. It's better than the voicemails you leave me, where you're screaming, acting like somebody's
pick up your phone.
Breaking. I'm not going to pick up my phone. Okay?
Pick up your phone. And when I'm calling you at 3:30 in the morning, it's important.
Normally, I would be the one calling you at 3:30 in the morning because I've just woken up for the day and I've decided that I'm going to start, that's when my workday starts.
Speaking of calling someone at 3 in the morning, you had to get me an Uber home from the hotel.
Yeah, where the hell do you live that it's costing me $75 to send you home?
Oh, I would have walked before it would. Anyway.
Well, I tipped 25%.
I tipped 25. Where's that?
I'm scared of internet shame. It's fine.
No, you're scared. You're scared of ruining your perfect Uber rating.
That's true, too. 5.0 flat, baby.
I remember being...
You better not have thrown up in that Uber.
No, because I was fighting it off. So I learned in college that if you squeeze your thumbs, there is a nerve there that will suppress nausea.
What?
So I have the window down in this guy's car, and I'm just squeezing my thumbs as hard as I can. And there is a hilarious Ring video of my Ring is charged of me holding on to the rails of my front door.
From Friday night?
Yes, unable to walk up. I don't know what it is. I'm fine. I'm always fine at the bars, but then whenever I get in the Uber and the scenery changes, I get all kind of wonky. All I remember is like getting into my house, throwing everything out of my pocket, and falling asleep in the recliner butt naked. That's all I remember. I woke up in bed. Don't know how I got there. But LSU, Lucas is so sweet.
The thing that Brian Kelly did. What are you going to do when both he and I are gone on Friday?
Have a great time because you won't be here. I'll take the good with the bad.
That's fine. So the biggest thing about LSU to me, outside of what Lucas just outlined, and that was a very thorough preview, one big thing we're going to do for every SEC team, speaking at SEC Media Days, we'll do 4 a day, that he is 0-3 in season openers and that they open this year with Clemson. And we've talked about that. Lucas mentioned that in the middle of his blurb there. Clemson may well be, they're certainly a preseason favorite to win the national championship, if not certainly be a part of the college football playoff picture. Brian Kelly having to open with the Clemson Tigers, tiger-on-tiger crime to begin week 1. By the way, August 30th, not that far away. We are right around the corner, kids, for college football. Hell, we're 9 days away from Titans training camp, which we're all looking forward to as well. We got a lot of fun stuff planned for that. We'll have our regular interview series. But for Brian Kelly, can he survive going 0-4? They're not going to be favored. Even though LSU is a talented roster, Clemson is the better football team at this point in time. And week 1 has wonky results, but God knows they haven't gone in Brian Kelly's favor since he's been the head coach of the Tigers. So can he do the thing that nobody expects him to do, which is beat Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers in this week 1 game and really set the tone for a critical 2025 season? Because if he doesn't make the college football playoff this year, he's fired. I have to think so. I don't know what his buyout looks like, but I just can't imagine LSU allowing him to continue in that job without making the college football playoff.
I wonder if he was trying to avoid questions this morning because it was noted that he started his media availability with a 12-minute opening statement filibuster. So I wonder...
If you didn't think that Brian Kelly was already a politician, that's all you needed to know.
I wanted to come out here and talk to my family.
Family.
Cheyenne said maybe perhaps the most country thing. She was like, she said, can I get a Dr. Pepper? But she said it, and I found out how to do it. Can I get a Dr. Pepper? You have to say...
Pepper?
Pepper. Can I get a Dr. Paper? Or Pepper?
Woof.
Woof, indeed. Speaking of woof.
Well, Gamecocks don't woof.
Oh, no. I didn't know who you were doing next. I was going to hope you. Speaking of woof,
none of these things woof.
If Shane Beamer and Lenora Sellers do not reach their expectations this year, that is a big woof.
Let's hear about South Carolina from the aforementioned Lucas Panzica.
The one big thing for South Carolina football in 2025 is to keep riding the momentum coming off of the best season of the Shane Beamer era. 9-3 regular season, and they were one of the hottest teams in the country by the end. 6 straight wins to finish out the regular season before losing the Citrus Bowl to Illinois, and Shane Beamer almost getting beat up by Brett Bielema. But can they translate that late regular season run over to 2025 as they tout one of the best offense/defense duos in the entire country? Lenore Sellers, we've talked ad nauseum about the amount of hype around the young quarterback. And then on the other side of the line of scrimmage, Dylan Stewart might be the best edge rusher in the country. Freshman All-American last year, over 10 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks as a true freshman. Former 5-star, now as a sophomore, looking to take another step. Obviously, like anybody else, they've got people to replace. Their lead receiver was their tight end in Josh Simon. Keep your eye on a wide receiver by the name of Nick Harbor. Had just under 400 yards, 3 touchdowns last year. Nothing to write home about, but 6'5", 235 pounds. He will be a junior in 2025 and could be a very exciting player if he can break out in that South Carolina offense. So for a team that finished hot and felt like they got snubbed from the college football playoff last year, they didn't. Then the natural expectation when you return your quarterback, when you return your best player on defense, is probably to take another step, right? And to make the college football playoff. It's weird to say that that's a baseline expectation for South Carolina football, but based on what happened last year, I think it kind of has to be. So can they keep riding that momentum? Can they avoid that trapdoor? This feels like one of those teams that's primed for a season or an off season full of hype leading up to this season where you're returning players coming off a season that was better than expected and then falls flat. Can they avoid that? To do that, they've got to avoid slip-ups in the first half of the season that's favorable for them. They'll play Virginia Tech, Vandy, Missouri, Kentucky before getting into the gauntlet where you got to go to LSU and host Bama and go to Ole Miss, go to A&M, and then, of course, finish out the season against Clemson. Got to take care of business in the first half of the season and then got to knock off some upsets in the second half to keep riding that wave for South Carolina football.
I wish he would have ended that one with "Don't love you, Buck" as opposed to "Love you, Bert." That would have been funny.
I think you have some shout outs in these.
Oh God. Don't look forward to those. We'll do Ole Miss and Vandy a little later on in the show. We don't want to fire all the bullets in the chamber right now, since we've got plenty of time to preview SEC Media Days with these one big things that Lucas has recorded before he went on vacation this week. So, I mean, to me, it's as simple as they go as far as Lenore Sellers will take them. And I think there's moments where a highly athletic and I wouldn't say highly skilled. I think the skill part is the thing that we're still waiting to see manifest from Lenore Sellers, though he does have the potential, right? He made that coaching staff down the stretch probably look a lot smarter than the coaching staff deserved to look. Now, I don't think poorly of Shane Beamer and the collection of coaches that they have down there in South Carolina, but I do think that Lenore Sellers defines what Lucas is talking about there. A team with a lot of hype in the offseason coming in and trying to avoid falling flat based on the level of expectation or hype that's been set around him. Lenore Sellers is being talked about as a top 5 draft pick. And you don't have to be a great college quarterback to be a good NFL prospect or a great NFL prospect. You don't have to be a great NFL prospect to be a good college football quarterback. It is something that I am fascinated to see. Is he the most interesting quarterback in the SEC this year, Lenore Sellers? It's between him and Garrett Nussmeier, who is the most experienced and has the pedigree of somebody who's going to be talked about kind of in the same light, but I think there's so much variance with Sellers that we don't know what that is going to look like this year. We have an idea, but I think that idea has people a bit twisted up based on what South Carolina actually was and that they played themselves out of the college football playoff picture last year. It's a very thin line between winning and losing, and I know Shane Beamer talked about that in his media availability earlier this morning. In fact, I think that ended about 20 minutes ago.
I don't disagree with you on him being the most interesting, because we noted when we were discussing the most interesting divisions that the most interesting team is not always the best. I would say I would throw Arch Manning in there as the most interesting, but I also think that Lenore Sellers, if he continues to grow, would be the most interesting. Garrett Nussmeier, to me, is kind of the most boring. I feel like he's the most, like, what do they say, highest floor, lowest ceiling? Like, you kind of have him zoomed into what you think he is. I'm still, the jury, I wouldn't say is still out. I still need to see a little bit more from Lenore Sellers.
1045 The Zone has teamed up with Holiday World and Splash and Safari for the 2025 season. Holiday World and Splash and Safari's water coasters and slides are a cool splash of fun your family needs this summer. Not only are they called the water coaster capital of the world, I don't think that's true, but that's fine. I've been to Santa Claus, Indiana a lot of times. I don't know that anybody's called it the water coaster capital of the world, but that's fine. They're less than 3 hours away. Free soft drinks and parking too. To sign up for a chance to win tickets, visit 1045thezone.com/contests today. The water coaster capital of the world, Santa Claus, Indiana, huh?
I just got done signing us both up. So if you get
to go to Holiday World?
Yes, I would love to get you on the gravy boat. Mama's gravy.
I grew up, like, I went to high school within an hour and a half of Holiday World.
I thought you were going to say you went to high school at Holiday World. I was like, oh, they probably have the best mascots.
No, like when
every sport gets a different holiday. Like, oh, the basketball gets the turkey. Like, oh, that would be cool. Holiday. That's the team I'm making on college football. Holiday World, the Holiday World University.
What's their mascot?
Ooh, I only get to pick one. I would probably pick a big Christmas tree like the Stanford tree.
Well, in the absence of that, we're going to talk about Cam Ward. He's a vlogger. Doesn't matter. Coming up next. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. We'd be happy to have you at any point. Titans training camp 9 days away. And the thing that Titans fans have to be enjoying is that Cam Ward is keeping you updated on what he's doing in the offseason via his own YouTube channel. Like many other athletes and many other people, trying to capitalize on the monetization that comes with YouTube. Cam Ward is basically doing, they're not daily vlogs. He did one 5 days ago. The most recent one I think is like 3 days ago. He's just keeping people updated on what he's doing in the offseason, how he's working with his teammates. There's nothing really, of great consequence in there other than, hey, there's Cam Ward throwing to Chigaconquo and telling Xavier Restrepo, to pick up the pace or run the right route depth or whatever you might be looking to get out of those things. Titans fans are just happy to see their quarterback doing things in the offseason program. And I'll say on the front end, I got no problem with it whatsoever. I'm sure some people, it may be a generational thing, the amount of media stuff, media extracurriculars, we'll call it, that athletes of a certain generation do, whether you don't like that athletes are trying to monetize themselves on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or whatever the case may be. I'm sure some people aren't crazy about the idea of distractions. I got no problem with it. But what I do remember is, and maybe we are far enough removed from this that it won't even be an afterthought for Titans fans because it's just a part of the landscape right now. Robert, you weren't in Nashville when LaJuan and Compton started this podcast, but Titans fans lost their mind, a lot of them, not all of them. I think most people understand that you can have other hobbies that aren't directly related to football. But when LaJuan and Compton started the podcast, Bussin' with the Boys, it's, doing very well right now. Not that I like to say anything nice about the two of them when I don't have to, but they're doing a really good job with it and have done a really good job with it. Where there was a lot of conversation about should active NFL players, plural, be doing a podcast. And it didn't really make a big difference one way or the other. Taylor didn't do it during the regular season. And then when his knee blew out and he had the time to become a full-time podcaster, LaJuan had a successful entity to step into for the next phase of his career. Had Taylor, not gotten hurt and not had an ACL surgery botched, there's nothing to say that he wouldn't still be playing left tackle for this franchise. But I remember people losing their minds, calling into the radio station. I wasn't even on air at the time when they started the podcast, but I remember hearing calls from Midday 180, people just bitching about LaJuan. And LaJuan is a polarizing figure to begin with. And at that time, he had signed the biggest contract for a left tackle in the history of football, and then very quickly the next offseason, I can't remember who surpassed him. But people made it a talking point. Why isn't he focused on the most important thing? Why isn't he focused on football? Are we far enough removed? That was only like 4 or 5 years ago. It's not that long ago that they started the podcast, and maybe the narrative has changed enough, but if the Titans don't succeed at a reasonably high level, and whatever your level of expectations are, I don't expect them to have a winning record and make the playoffs this year. So I'm just kind of along for the ride. Let's see where they end up. Let's see how Cam Ward looks. Let's see how much better they can get if they just stop the bleeding on special teams or have a quarterback that's not a nuclear disaster every fourth or fifth play. And they'll probably be a better football team as a result of even just those two things beyond all the other stuff that they have to fix. But if the Titans have a bad game or Cam Ward has a bad game or people are going to, start criticizing Cam Ward for doing a lot of these other things, because I was out this weekend and I was around a former NFL player, and immediately when I brought up the Tubi documentary, it came up in conversation because people were asking me, how does he look? What are your expectations for him? I'm like, yeah, he looks good. He looks like he made the right stuff. Looks like you're not going to have to worry about him putting in the work. And I brought up, I don't love the idea that he's got a 6-part documentary coming in before his NFL career has really started. But that's just me. I'm a curmudgeon. That's okay. As long as he plays good football, who cares? And immediately, this former NFL player looked at me like kind of shocked that was a thing that was going on and said the dreaded word, well, that sounds like a distraction. And I didn't really see it through that prism, because if he's working out anyway, he's going through these workouts, he's hosting his teammates, at Miami's indoor practice facility. He's gathering his teammates just as you always do. And what's the difference if somebody's got a camera on him versus not? But the first thing that this former NFL player spat out of his mouth was, that sounds like a distraction. And I don't know how the locker room views that versus how fans view that versus how people who will cover him, like I will view that. I just don't. I just think we are in such a space where now this is just what athletes do. They know how to market. He's going to come in with a reasonable amount of money before he's played an NFL snap. He's going to come in with his own YouTube channel that has, I'm sure it's got 20, 30,000 subscribers. It may have more than that, given who he was as a college football player. And that's just a part of the industry now. Is this something that we are going to be talking about if they have a bad game, or is it something that fans are going to be talking about if he has a bad game?
I think so, yes, because I present you with evidence one of Micah Parsons. Are you familiar with Micah Parsons' show he does on Mondays for Bleacher Report?
I know that he's doing something. I don't know the details of it. I haven't watched it.
He will go live on Bleacher Report the Mondays, or if the Cowboys play on Mondays, Tuesdays, after games. And he is being ripped to shreds for this. Just for going on there and giving his and not to poo-poo on Parsons, but you know how athletes do these things. They sign the contract and then they kind of half-ass it through it, and that's what he does. But if people want to make fun of the Cowboys, it's an easy target for them to be like, well, Micah Parsons is doing a radio show talking about how the Cowboys sucked this weekend. Like, if Micah Parsons, who is already good at his craft on a very polarizing team, is getting poo-pooed for this, I'm sure Cam Ward would get some form of blowback. But I will say, in my own opinion, I don't care that he's doing it.
I don't care either.
For the exact situation that you just named. He's already doing these. In my opinion, it's smart business acumen. Because if he's already doing these workouts, you might as well find a way to monetize said workouts. But
there will be fans of a certain generation that come after him for this kind of stuff.
100%.
And maybe that exists anyway. Maybe there's just nothing you can do about that, and nobody is unscathed from criticism based on performance. Because Cole on YouTube brings up Unk, talking about the former player that I was talking to this weekend. He says, Unk, that's retired for many years and is probably 50-plus, upset that a 23-year-old is showing his off-season workouts. What a huge deal. I will tell you for reference, just because I think it is good context, this player is 10 years older than Cam Ward. He's 33 and recently retired, I'd say, within the last 2 or 3 years. But again, even that's a generational divide. That's 10 years.
And was very good. He was a good player. He wasn't a nobody.
Yes.
And he played... Make that the headline. So-and-so talks crap
Rips
about
Cam Ward. Yeah. Well, it's like we never told the audience about the social experiment that we were running on Friday with them.
Don't tell them so we can do it again.
Oh, really? You want to bank that one for later?
In case we can't figure something out, yeah.
I just think that's so funny for the few people that were asking the question, what do you mean the Titans did the unthinkable?
Yeah.
We got nothing to think about the Titans today, so the Titans did the unthinkable. We literally don't have to think about them today.
I saw it like 3 or 4 times. Did they already talk about the unthinkable thing the Titans did?
Made me laugh. Yeah, when we run out of title ideas for the YouTube show, we're just going to use that as a placeholder. Titans do the unthinkable and see if anybody actually asks us what the unthinkable is.
It helps.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. There is a massive story in the NFL, and it's starting to pick up steam. We're going to talk about it next.
What's going on? 11 o'clock on the dot. Good morning. Live from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I am Robert Walsh. SEC Media Days going underway. 3HL live from Atlanta to keep you up to date on all the SEC happenings. Schools speaking today are Vanderbilt, South Carolina, LSU, and Ole Miss. 3HL expecting to have Lenoris Sellers, Shane Beamer, Diego Pavia, and Clark Lee all on the show at some point today. The Major League Baseball draft got started last night, seeing 4 Vols drafted in the first round. The Volunteers led all schools with a program record 8 players selected in the opening 3 rounds of this year's draft, including 4 first-rounders, as I mentioned, in Liam Doyle, Gavin Keelan, Andrew Fisher, and Marcus Phillips. To the NFL, where the Chiefs have until 4 p.m. Eastern Time Tuesday to sign franchise-tag guard Trey Smith to a multi-year contract extension. Smith will earn $23.4 million on the franchise tag if a long-term deal cannot be completed by Tuesday's deadline. Trey Smith is the only player in the NFL playing on the franchise tag. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
The NFL doesn't blink for many things. But yesterday, a very quiet afternoon, otherwise quiet afternoon, that was interrupted by a flurry of news releases and statements and words of support for the NFL and the NFLPA's executive committee based on the allegations that there had been collusion between the NFL, its ownership group, and the NFLPA to keep information from the players. Now, when we get into the administrative stuff, I understand a lot of people start to, eyes roll, and you get a lot of this information in one ear, out the other. But if it fundamentally alters the way that the league operates, as this has the potential to do, you'll still get your football on Sundays, and you'll be able to, not think about all the different things about how the sausage is made. But it is one of the more fascinating stories out there in all of sports, I think, and I think a good deal of people are going to gain more and more interest once you start to see Roger Goodell and the NFL sweating a little bit. There was a statement made to a variety of different media members yesterday from the NFL Players Association's executive committee. And it is as follows. As members of the NFLPA executive committee, we categorically reject false reports insinuating doubts within this committee or suggestions that we have asked our executive director to step down. We further reject attempts to mischaracterize the committee's views or divide our membership. We have established a deliberate process to carefully assess the issues that have been raised and will not engage in a rush to judgment. We believe in and remain committed to working with our executive director and other members of the NFLPA staff and player leadership who have shared a mission to advance the best interest of players. As we approach the 2025 season, we look forward to continuing our important work together and ensuring the strength and unity of our association. What false reports are they referencing? I wasn't able to find anything that's been categorized as false. The only thing that's out there is documented evidence that an independent arbitrator went through the assessment, didn't find that the NFL outright colluded, but at least found that there was conversations to that effect, and that J.C. Tretter, who was a part of the NFLPA's executive committee, a former player, a former Brown center himself, a very interesting figure in all of this, was a part of keeping information from the rest of the players who are relying on the NFLPA to make sure that their best interests are kept in mind because he didn't want the information to get out. There is no evidence that there are false reports about any of this. So one, I'm not sure what the NFLPA is referencing. Nobody's been able to figure that out or answer that question at this point. Now, Robert, I know you don't like J.J. Watt. And honestly, I feel like my opinion of J.J. Watt is going to go down now that he's replacing Charles Davis on CBS. It's a tough act to follow. Charles is awesome, and I know he's going to kill it on the Big Ten, but I'd rather have Charles Davis on my Sundays.
He's just like a big buff Fred from Scooby-Doo. Like, come on, gang. We need to get everybody together to figure this out.
But occasionally, Fred does make good points.
No, Fred just wants to get Daphne alone. I think we all know what Fred wants.
Well, I don't know who Daphne is in this situation, but J.J. Watt is at least pointing out one important thing. He quotes a couple of things from the statement on the NFLPA. You've got players actively pushing back on this NFLPA statement, which again shows you that they are not aligned in the way that the statement alleges that they are. J.J. Watt, about 21 hours ago yesterday on Twitter, citing this, he says, we categorically reject false reports insinuating doubts. We have established a deliberate process to carefully assess the issues that have been raised and will not engage in a rush to judgment. Those are contradicting statements, J.J. Watt points out. And I think he's right. What is going to become of this? I DM'd Dan Lust yesterday just to see if he was following along with this as the closest thing the show has to a legal expert. And Dan obviously has been doing a lot of thorough research on this, keeping up to date, making sure that he's informed, talking to people who he knows. And what seems most likely here is that lawsuits are going to result from this. Now, who's suing who remains to be seen, or who will sue whom remains to be seen. But I am fascinated to see if this doesn't alter the structure of the league and the relationship between the NFL, the NFLPA, and the people, the players, really, that the NFLPA has failed here to represent. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you want to jump in at any point, you are welcome to do so. We'll get back to some Titans discussion and some SEC Media Days coverage here in just a little while. A reminder that 3HL is at SEC Media Days, and Robert told you that Lenora Sellers, Diego Pavia, and Clark Lee, Shane Beamer as well, are all going to be a part of 3HL's show. Their coverage is presented by the wonderful folks at Brian's Motorsports, who are making that trip down there possible, and Medical House Calls. For more info and a schedule of interviews, visit 1045thezone.com/events today. Now, these top 10 lists are also... Oh, will you have thoughts?
Yeah, we had a great submission in the F&M Bank chat. Tyler Dial suggests that Daphne is the Oilers jersey for J.J. Watt.
Oh, that's so true.
Come on, Scoob. You take Velma and Shaggy and just leave me here with Daphne. She can tell me about this ascot I've got.
Nobody cosplays as a Titans player more than J.J. Watt for as badly as he wants those Houston Oilers uniforms to be the Houston Texans when they are not. So your biggest criticism of him is what?
He's annoying. He's extremely white bread. I find him disingenuous. I feel like he's very... I'm not saying this about all church people, but when I went to church and you have people that are fake nice to you and you're like, oh, yes, we love when you come around. Yes. But then they talk crap about you behind your back.
Oh, listen, I went to private Catholic school my entire life. They're some of the worst people I know.
That's the vibes I get from J.J. Watt. That's very like, oh, hey, honey, bless your heart. And then like, I can't believe that it doesn't seem real. It's kind of RG3-ish where like,
no,
I don't believe. No, RG3 is cringe, but I also.
Did you see what RG3 did this weekend?
No.
Yeah, I would not evoke RG3's name in the middle of it.
I only say that because
in a different category unto himself.
He is also disingenuous. Like, I don't believe that what he's saying is what he really feels in most cases, or he is saying it to be shown in a certain light. I hope people think of me this way because I'm saying things this way.
Yeah, I guess so. Like J.J. Watt has always been accused of that, but I've never really seen any behavior to the contrary of him being, this Captain America persona, even if like it wears people down. The RG3 thing is...
I will need to check that out. Tough to see a fellow Robert in need.
Oh, I wouldn't be so quick to rush to his side in this particular argument, because what he was doing on social media this weekend was the most diplomatic thing I can say about it is distasteful. Now, I've actually met Robert Griffin III. He and I used to have the same agent. And a couple of years ago at Super Bowl, we went to lunch together, and I really enjoyed him. Nothing like the persona that he seems to project on social media, which is why I think it's okay to criticize Robert Griffin III of that because I've at least had personal, like a very, very, hour and a half lunch or whatever. There wasn't anything extended. But like in that time, who he is on social media is not the person that I had lunch with in Los Angeles at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Are you reading it right now?
Oh, sheesh.
I don't know what's more problematic, him or Amon-Ra St. Brown's Day. Did you see that? That's my own note tomorrow.
Yes, where he don't cut. You can't cut it.
Yeah.
You can't cut it.
That's going to be my own note tomorrow.
I have a great quote here from Joe Budden, who is a terrible reference of most things.
Yeah.
I'm not calling you RG3 anymore. You don't get a cool nickname. You're Robert Griffin. Actually, you're Bob Griffin III. BG3. Oh, Baldur's Gate. Great game. Bob Griffin III is incredible.
Some people in the chat are also just now Googling the RG3 social media.
How did I miss this?
It was everywhere, and it was seized upon by a certain demographics, both right, left, white, black.
Yeah, it seems anybody who wanted to could find a straw to draw on this.
Yeah, so I don't really think that we have to get into it here, but I think the behavior that you're accusing J.J. Watt of is actually who RG3 is. 615-737-1045. You can jump in. So these top 10 lists are everywhere right now, and we've worked our way in and out of the lists, and should there be any Titans on these lists, which Titans actually made the list. Turns out Jeffrey Simmons is probably the only one that's going to be ranked inside the top 10 at any one of his positions. Until we get to long snappers, I assume Morgan Cox deserves some love. What are you making a face for?
Yeah, that's what I'm upset about. Is I don't think there's going to be a top 10 long snappers list, even though it would be fascinating because that's like the one facet of football that I can't.
Do it, Fowler. I dare you.
Yeah, I need to know snap accuracy or how many times they're getting down blocked or something. I would love to see that, but there needs to be a fullback top 10 list. Stop glomming them in with.
Are there even 10 active fullbacks on rosters right now?
Yes, there are.
Are you sure?
I could give me time, and I could find you 10 active
Name them.
fullbacks.
This is like you two with me in the guards. Name 3 fullbacks.
Patrick Ricard, Kyle Juszczyk, the big ginger guy
with the Chargers.
Yeah. The Texans, I believe, has one. His name is slipping my mind.
Okay, so you can't do it.
I can name 4, but I'm telling you
That's not naming them. You literally didn't know that name. You said the giant ginger that plays for the Chargers.
Matlock. God, I can't. You put me on the spot. Damn it. I'm going to do some research.
Wants the top 10 list, but can't name more than 2.
That's why I need the top 10 list. We need to put some respect on their name. And even if it's just fat guys playing fullback, tell me that.
Oh, no. Well, Ricard is kind of that. Is he still a two-way player? He's not with the Ravens anymore, is he?
Ricard, yep, re-signed for a single year.
Oh, they brought him back.
Yes, 1-year deal. He hasn't been a two-way player since 2022. Their D-line is pretty deep now. They don't need a halfway player. I think they would want him more involved in the offense because he does so much with. He's not just a fullback. He'll line up in line. He'll line up different places all over the line of scrimmage. So he kind of is a tight end, kind of a fullback. His presence is needed more in offensive meetings.
So my point is that these top 10 lists are almost concluded. Jeremy Fowler polling league executive coaches and scouts to get their vote on who the top 10 player at each given position is. Then they accumulate the votes and they come up with the compiled top 10 list. Jeff Simmons is probably going to be the only player on the Titans roster that's inside the top 10. But there is an interesting question based on the 2 different categorizations of offensive line that were put out over the weekend. The top 10 tackles list and then the top 10 interior offensive line list. One has at least some Titans with honorable mention, and I'm surprised that the other list doesn't at least have mention of one Titans offensive lineman. We'll tell you what's going on with that coming up next on Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. We've just recently had Independence Day, and you should also consider the importance of financial independence and how big a role it plays in your life. Because if you've experienced Any level of financial insecurity, whether you've lost sleep over it, it's caused you undue stress, you need to make sure that your financial house is in order. And that's exactly what Trajan Wealth is here to help you do. As a veteran, Trajan Wealth CEO Jeff Jr. fully appreciates the importance of that true independence. He founded Trajan Wealth as an independent firm, allowing fiduciary advisors the ability to customize a portfolio to meet your unique goals and needs. So call Trajan Wealth today to discuss those options for achieving financial independence and have that weight lifted off your shoulders. Trajan Wealth has 2 locations here in Middle Tennessee, Brentwood and Franklin. Their number is easy, 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000, or online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement. Offensive line has been a thorn in the side of Titans fans, Titans offense, Titans coaches, everybody that watches that football team since basically 2020. And we were relitigating some of this last night on the Primetime Show. Welcome back, by the way. Show fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. So, by the way, they're open. All of the Hattie B's locations locally open right now, so you can mobile order if you want. You can head on down to, what's the closest one to us? I guess that'd be just over there on Division in Midtown.
I believe that's correct.
Yes. So, now, damn, I'm thinking about Hattie B's. Always thinking about Hattie B's, but started offensive line, and now there's just visions of grilled tenders in my head.
Well, I don't want to hurt that at all. So while you're thinking about offensive line, there are 10 fullbacks that could be listed. Mm-hmm. I did the research. The only problem.
Why are you talking like sketch? I did the research.
That's not him, is it?
That kind of inflection. I just didn't say brother afterwards.
Yeah, either way. Two of the fullbacks on this top 10 list play for the same team. The Texans.
The Texans have two fullbacks on their roster?
So I believe it's Jakob Johnson. He is an international pathway player from Germany. I believe he started with the Patriots. He is there. And then British Brooks, who is, I believe he's classified as a running back, but Madden technically classified.
What a name.
British Brooks is incredible.
Excellent.
You know they call him BB. Oh, the British are coming. The British are coming. I bet he hears all the stupid stuff. Do you want to hear this top 10 list I have devised?
Well, given that you couldn't even name more than two, sure.
I named 3.
All right, go ahead.
Actually, I named 4. Kyle Juszczyk.
Yep.
Pat Ricard. Reggie Gilliam, the fullback for the Bills, correct. C.J. Ham, longtime veteran. Where does he play?
New Orleans?
You got the gold right. It is the Vikings.
The Vikings.
Then you got Alec Ingold, who I think was probably the best all-around fullback last year for the Dolphins. Michael Burton for the Broncos. So the Titans will see a fullback week 1. Better get ready for it. Hunter Lumpke, who plays for the Cowboys. He's kind of like Kyle Juszczyk.
Lumpke is such a great name for an offensive lineman or a fullback.
Incredible. Scott Matlock, the fat ginger with the Chargers that we talked about, who is still shaded as a fullback / defensive end, so he is a two-way player. Step out of the way, Travis Hunter. And then the following both play for the Texans, British Brooks and Jakob Johnson.
Okay.
10 fullbacks.
The definitive top 10 fullbacks list that Jeremy Fowler couldn't be bothered to do.
Come on. Give it to us, Fowler. We want it.
Well, what Titans fans do want is league average offensive line play. And there's reason to believe that this will be the best unit that they've been able to field since, 2021 they weren't bad, but they weren't great. They survived, and injuries obviously robbed them of a good bit of their potential. But 2020, the first 5 or 6 weeks, Lawan tore his ACL for the first time. It was that Texans game. So I want to say it was week 6 at home, and then they lost him for the season. David Quessenberry ended up filling in, and they had one of the most successful offensive seasons. They did have the most successful statistically offensive season in the Titans era in that 2020 year. It got Art Smith a job with the Falcons after the fact, and everything kind of. That's where the domino effect started, because it started that March when they let Jack Conklin walk. And at the time, Jack Conklin was not somebody that Titans fans were pounding the table for. Why? Well, the great white hope, Dennis Kelly, of course, Sabretooth out there holding it down. Dennis Kelly plus a draft pick you thought was going to be able to save you $20 million a year that Jack Conklin was set to make on a 3-year deal with the Browns. And in theory, that should have worked. But unfortunately, Dennis was fine. But the player that you drafted in the first round that year, Isaiah Wilson, was very much not, for all the different reasons that have been much discussed at this point. And so ever since that 2020 season, that 2020 off season, heading into the 2020 season, you've been chasing the offensive line rebuild. Now you think you got it right. Now, there are no Tennessee Titans offensive linemen ranked in the top 10 of either the interior offensive line list or the offensive tackle list. But Peter Skoronski did receive honorable mention in this, and Kevin Zeitler did receive votes. Kevin Zeitler was according to Pro Football Focus, the 3rd best graded guard in football last year at 35 years old. He's going to be 36. We have no idea when the cliff is going to come for him professionally. Titans fans just hope it's not this year when he's on a 1-year deal with you. But Peter Skoronski did at least get honorable mention here. J.C. Latham is not mentioned, did not receive a vote, where Joe Alt was in the honorable mention category for the top 10 offensive tackles list. Tristan Wirfs, by the way, voted the best offensive tackle for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Trent Williams has held that spot down for 100 years. At some point, somebody was going to come for the throne, I guess. But Tristan Wirfs, unfortunately for the Bucs, they are going to miss him for the first, at least expected first couple of weeks of the regular season.
I think that was the vernacular around it, was couple to a few, so 2 to 3 games.
So we're not really sure what the timeline is, and I don't remember any specifics being reported about the nature of the knee injury that would cost him that time.
It was something that happened. He had a snag in their offseason training. And because that was my initial reaction, was like, why the hell wouldn't you get this done as soon as the season was over?
Yeah, what happened?
So, like, it's something with their strength and conditioning program where
I guess I meant specifics as to the injury. Did he have a strain? Did he tear a meniscus or something like that? Like, what happened specifically with the knee? I don't think that information was ever, at least not yet, made public.
I can do a little digging. I can't remember. I don't want to remark something and then it not be right.
Sure. Well, that would be a first on the show. It made me think, though, looking at J.C. Latham not receiving any votes whatsoever, and J.C. Latham was fine. He was fine for a 7th overall pick, rookie offensive tackle that was playing right in college and was moved to left. He was fine. He had probably 4 or 5 games last season that you could consider bad. But I think everybody felt good about the J.C. Latham experience and feel like he's an ascending player, especially now that you pay Dan Moore $82 million to come in here. You slap him down on the left side. You shift J.C. back to what you hope is a more natural position on the right, and you expect J.C. Latham to thrive, if not at least be league average on the right side. The NFL executives, coaches, and scouts that voted on this apparently did not have the same appreciation for J.C. Latham that Titans fans hope he will be able to provide to them on that offensive line for not just this year, but years to come. So it begs the question, does Peter Skoronski actually have a higher ceiling than J.C. Latham, or is Peter Skoronski just the better player right now? I remember Brian Callahan during the offseason program bringing this up, and I don't remember the exact quote. I wasn't able to, I scrolled through some transcripts last night and I wasn't able to track it down. But he was asked a question about the offensive line's offseason program, understanding that they've got a bunch of stuff to do, but they can't do a lot of stuff that they would normally do because they're not in pads. And Callahan, Brian, not Bill, Brian offered up the idea that he thinks that the head coach thought that J.C. Latham had been the best offensive lineman in the team's offseason program in year 2. Not just because of the weight that he's lost, but because of the way that he's attacked, his strength, his conditioning, his technique, all the things that he needed to improve upon to make sure that he continues that upward trajectory that we all think he has. And I remember putting that tweet out there or that video out there on Twitter, and it wasn't a ton of pushback that I got on this, and it may have just been a offhand remark by somebody on social media saying, well, if J.C. Latham is the best offensive lineman on the Titans line, then they're doomed. And I sat there looking at that like, you don't think the number 7 overall pick should end up being the best offensive lineman on your unit? The guy with the highest draft pedigree, the guy that played at one of the foremost football programs in the country coming out of Alabama. Peter Skoronski's a nice player and did play major Power 4, or I guess at the time for him, Power 5 college football. But why shouldn't J.C. Latham be the best offensive lineman that the Tennessee Titans put out there this year? Certainly, he should be better than Dan Moore. He should be better than Lloyd Cushenberry. Peter Skoronski is thought more highly of right now by talent evaluators, but it doesn't mean that J.C. Latham can't play his way into being more appreciated by the league at large. Is Peter Skoronski, though, somebody who has more potential than J.C. Latham, or is he just simply the better player right now? I'd probably go with the latter. J.C. Latham has way higher athletic traits, or way better athletic traits, higher upside athletic traits. Peter Skoronski's a fine player. He may not end up being an all-pro guard. He may not be Quentin Nelson or The Cowboys offensive lineman that just retired. Zach Martin. Here I am trying to name guards and naming a retired one before I get to, too many down the list. Quinn Meinertz, Broncos guard. He's in the top 10 list this year. Quentin Nelson, I believe, was third, still holding it down at a very high level. So maybe Skoronski doesn't ever achieve that, but as long as he's league average, you feel pretty good about that situation. And I just, I think that there is more reason. You like having both of them. You should be able to field an offensive line unit that at least gives you some degree of confidence this year for the first time in so long. But that Peter Skoronski and J.C. Latham, that there's even a conversation about the two of them, and that you feel pretty good about the conversation being had around them, I think is as optimistic as Titans fans have been able to feel in I don't know how long.
So a little bit of information on Wirf's injury. It didn't say specifically what was injured, but it did say it's the same knee that cost him one game last season, and it's an orthoscopic surgery, which means it's to do with a joint. So a joint in his knee is the issue. The other thing worth bringing up with this is Latham was the second offensive lineman selected in his draft. Peter Skoronski was the third, but Peter Skoronski was the first guard selected. Does that impact your evaluation or how you're looking at it?
I'm sorry, say that again?
So Skoronski was the third offensive lineman drafted, but he was the first guard selected. Paris Johnson and
in that draft.
Correct. But Latham was the second offensive lineman and the second tackle selected. I didn't know if that impacted your expectation. For me, it just means that exactly what you noted about Peter Skoronski being better right now. He was the first guard selected. It's the beginning of his third year? Mm-hmm. So at the beginning of his third year, that should be the big jump year, in my opinion. This should be the time that he should be rated higher than Latham. And then after this year, it should not be an issue again.
It doesn't really impact my thought process, like specific to JC, because I remember talking to somebody who was in the Titans draft room the night they drafted JC Latham. And the response that I got back was we were taking either one of them. We were going to take whichever one was there. One may have higher upside than the other. One has different traits than the other. One's physically taller than the other. The other one's got better power. Talking about Alt and Latham there, but they were going to take J.C. Latham or Joe Alt, whichever tackle fell to them at, 7?
Which is interesting because Olu Fashanu was commonly thought to be the second tackle in that draft. He ended up falling to the New York Giants, playing a little bit of guard his rookie year, and I think eventually having to kick out to left tackle when Tyron Smith went down. But it's interesting that they were going to take one of those two. Olu wasn't part of the conversation. And after year one, I think it's up for debate. Out of Alt was obviously the best of the three, but between Latham and Olu, I would be interested to know what people who are smarter than I think about the how those stack up amongst each other.
And you need better context around football stats, I think, just generally. Not you specifically, but I think we as a football consuming society where information, there's never been more information than there is right now, but doesn't mean you have to take all of it as gospel in terms of the numbers. But I do think that the one thing that I'm more affirmed about than I ever have been in terms of what statistics or what metrics I look at to be able to talk about and evaluate players. One, I'm out on sacks as an individual stat. Like, they do matter, and sacks do matter, but sacks are a team stat, not an individual stat. And that on the opposite side of things, that sacks are a quarterback stat. Because Peter Skoronski grading out as the 12th best guard in pass protection last year with a 76.3 according to Pro Football Focus, and seeing the level of quarterback play that the Titans offensive line was getting, and NPF would undermine them at times, and they tried a bunch of different things that didn't work, and whether it was Mason Rudolph or Will Levis, you weren't getting sufficient enough quarterback play, really no matter who you were putting back there. But like Peter Skoronski, when a quarterback takes a bunch of sacks, the knee-jerk reaction has always, for 100 years plus of football, been, well, what's the offensive line doing? Like we have any business as if you are untrained in the ways of NFL offensive linemen or just offensive line play generally, like we have any business criticizing the technique of a position that we probably know the least about. I would say there is less information or really a less of a knowledge base for offensive line play than any other position on the field. And I think that's why things like Duke Manyweather's O-line Masterminds camp that just concluded this week in Dallas. I know Cosell was down there. He's going to have some good information this week on the podcast. Karonsky was obviously down there. So was JC.
And if you missed it on the morning show, Duke joined Ramon and Will and talked about
nice.
who was all in there. I'll have to go back through that conversation and listen to it, but the podcast is up if you missed it.
Well,
make sure you don't listen during our show.
Yeah, not during the show, of course. But
after 6 o'clock.
After 6 o'clock. Or prior to 6 a.m. You could do that too, so as to not miss Ramon and Will in the morning. But I am cautiously optimistic about the Titans offensive line group. I don't like to gaslight Titans fans at this point. In fact, I think I do quite the opposite. Trying to keep people's expectations relative, but I do think that they should at least be, I don't know, Pro Football Focus had them projected as the 24th best unit in football this year. I think that if they're anywhere between 24 and 20, that's such a win. I know that's still bottom half of the league by a considerable amount. But given what you have been, I mean, you have not been able to run an NFL offense for basically 3 seasons because of this offensive line problem that has been created and a result of a domino effect over time. It undermines you every time you drop back to pass. And when you get into a situation where your special teams are as bad as they are and your turnovers are as frequent as they are from the quarterback position in particular, and you're fighting uphill, and then all of a sudden you're trailing in these games and you're losing 7 games by 10 or more points, and you're having to drop back, it just expedites the problem that you already have. Dan Moore's sacks that he allowed last year are one of the biggest criticisms that Titans fans who saw the amount of money that they paid for him had when the free agency process concluded. And while I do acknowledge that there is some fault on the left tackle, just go look at Justin Fields play in their offense last year. Go look at Russell Wilson and how often those two players are struggling and creating sacks unto themselves. Sacks are such a quarterback stat, so much more of a quarterback stat than I'd even think should be attributed or blamed on the offensive line unit, because how much more control the quarterback has on whether they get sacked or not. And I'm not saying that NFL quarterbacks is an easy thing to do. I know that they have the virtual reality. Would you have any interest in doing the virtual reality quarterbacking thing that they, for example, like I know Easton wrote that thing on Cam Ward being a part of the VR training that they're doing. Jaden Daniels has done this. This has been around for a couple of years.
They don't want me in that thing. Because they would.
Why do you think you do? You think you would excel?
They would see too much promise in me, and they would be like, "How did we let this guy slip through the cracks? His mind is inevitable."
You just bring back the hefty lefty.
That's what I'm saying. Did you know that he leads Kentucky as a school in passing yards for a career?
Really, Lorenzen, R.I.P.
Yeah, I have to double check this, but at least in my college football career, where I transferred to Kentucky, I broke his records. I'll have to double check.
Of course, in the NCAA video game that he's been spending 8 hours a day. He's spending more time on this video game than he is doing actual work.
That's not true.
Are you sure?
Spending about the same amount of time doing work. I can multitask.
I've witnessed your attempts to multitask, and you are not a successful multitasker, in my experience. The other part of this is Titans fans probably a little disappointed with the results of the offensive line play last year because you thought you were getting Bill Callahan here, right? The godfather of offensive line play. If it's not Mike Munchak, then it's Bill Callahan, and somebody who is renowned around the league for the level of specificity that he brings to the training that he puts that position group through as a whole, and how many success stories he has on his resume working with offensive linemen. The fact that NPF was that bad with Bill Callahan last year tells me everything I need to know about NPF. And, I'm sure that there are fair criticisms of how the Titans coaching staff in total operated. But, like, the last thing that I'm worried about is Bill Callahan being able to coach up an offensive line beyond what they're capable of. If they could break the top 20, I think that would be such an overwhelming success. And I don't expect them to. Like, I expect them to be an average to slightly below average unit. Too many questions with Zeitler and his age, even though he's been an excellent player for 100 years, with Cushenberry coming off an Achilles, with Dan Moore, and frankly with Cam Ward, how Cam Ward is going to operate back there behind an NFL offensive line, facing the kind of pass rush this year that would give you nightmares on their schedule. We're going to get to the top 10 pass rushers list on ESPN and how many of them the Titans are going to face. They are going to be in a blender at times. It's still reason for cautious optimism. And in fact, it's probably the biggest reason for cautious optimism that you should have, because anything that Cam Ward is going to be able to accomplish this season is going to be dictated in large part by that offensive line unit. But you knew this. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. Remember to check out the podcast. Speaking of interviews that Ramon and Will did this morning with Duke Manyweather, you can check out the podcast for all 4 of the live shows. You can also check out Football and Other F Words wherever it is that you get your podcast. You can subscribe on Zone TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, where you can live stream those shows each and every day. Make sure you leave us a like on YouTube if you're hanging out. There's not enough likes in the chat, Robert. Not enough likes.
Where are we at?
I don't know, but it's not enough. I'm just going to assume.
22?
22 is pitiful.
We got 150 people in here. Y'all better
pitiful.
like it. I'm going to try. I'm not going to turn the cameras back on.
Just on YouTube that we have that many people. You're going to turn the camera off until they like the video?
No cameras till we hit 30 likes. Okay. 30 likes minimum.
I think that's reasonable. You remember what I said? 20,000 subscribers on the Zone's YouTube channel. We're going to put you on a unicycle.
No. Who?
You agreed to this. I have a clip that Ross.
Why would I agree to this? You paid Ross to cut that just so you would have evidence?
That's right. Because you slandered Red Panda and then said if you gave me an amount of time to learn how to unicycle, I could do better than Red Panda. So if we hit 20,000 subscribers on YouTube, you're going to have to get on a unicycle.
Oh, no. Pray tell, who is doing halftime shows? How are we ever going to be entertained while we're looking for beer and popcorn? Make a speedy recovery.
It says the wheel.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Do we have to do the wheel?
Yes.
All right, the wheel is next. Lake lovers, listen up. Tennessee National Lakefront Resort Golf and Marina Community is releasing a brand new phase of lake lots. One day only, Saturday, July 26th. You can get a cottage package with a boat slip from $359,900. You can get a 1.5 acre lake lot with a covered boat slip from just $99,900. Move-in ready homes with free upgraded outdoor kitchens are just $30,000 off, in fact. Private golf cart access to a new marina and resort, 10 miles of walking trails, 3.5 miles of shoreline, a brand new 26,000 square foot clubhouse, waterfront concerts, pickleball, pool, on-site coffee shop, and much more. Play on the lake or simply relax at the waterfront restaurant just over 20 minutes from Knoxville, Tennessee. Financing is available, so celebrate the lake life and make memories. This limited property release, Saturday, July 26th. Visit TennesseeNational.com or call 865-408-9992. That's 865-408-9992 to secure your private tour. Memories begin here at Tennessee National. Now, one of the things that I don't like about Lucas being gone, other than, the sanctity of my studio back, because I've been fighting that for years, is that Robert likes to execute these bits that he knows I don't want to do, like the wheel and moment of positivity, which I'm sure is going to make an appearance at some point this week while Lucas is in Brazil.
Yes.
All right. What's on the wheel? What are the options?
We have got an exceptional wheel selection for you today. A charcuterie wheel. Maybe not. Maybe we don't use that one. Sometimes I don't speak before I say things.
At what point, while trying to articulate that word that I'm not going to say, but I'm glad that you did you realize what you'd done?
Not until after I'd said it.
Okay.
So for your a culinary cavalve, as they say in the Beauty and the Beast song.
Nobody says that.
You've got, they do in the song, UFC in Nashville. They had an exceptional fight week in Nashville. We had Friday Night Smackdown, followed by UFC. A lot of people showed out for that. Quinshon Judkins, second-round pick for the Cleveland Browns, was involved in I believe it's being defined now as a delayed battery charge, but we will get into the details of that when it is selected as the wheel. And then one of our polls today, if you haven't checked out the polls, you can go check out @BuckRising on Twitter. Buck as a wrestler. If Buck was a professional wrestler, who would he be? We will talk, we will debate, we will find out definitively who Buck would be, and that is the wheel.
Spin the wheel.
Come on. Give it to me. See, I don't want to waste you as a wrestler. Okay, it passed. Oh! Well, I didn't really want to start with this, but Quinshon Judkins. Tough information because it has been a slow leak of information over the week. So we initially learned that there was a police report filed. We didn't have a ton of details. Then Tom Pelissero put, I would say, the most up-to-date update that we have, saying, quote, here's the arrest report for Quinshon Judkins, whose accuser told the police he punched her with a closed fist in the chin-lip area and later struck her in the left arm and thigh while they were in the car leaving the airport on July 7th. Now, it is being called a delayed battery case because the alleged battery happened on Friday, and she did not report it until, I believe, Monday after their trip was over with.
Yeah, and you don't know what kind of mitigating circumstances happened to her between. And again, these are allegations, so you want to make sure that fairness is the approach here. But if there was time in this particular situation that lapsed between the incident itself and when she reported it to police, and I'm recklessly speculating here. I'm just going to assume that she was scared. Like, I'm going to assume that she was scared, and that there are all different manner of things that could have happened here. Public pressure, private pressure on her to not go to police, as was alleged in the L'Jarius Sneed thing, where not only was L'Jarius Sneed allegedly putting pressure on the person to not report the shooting incident to police, but apparently his mother was also involved in putting pressure on the alleged victim of that lawsuit that's, as far as I know, still ongoing.
Why this is important. So you're aware of the hang-up with second-round picks currently arguing over guaranteed money. Mm-hmm. So the reason this is happening is as time went on, as drafts went on, more and more picks in the first round got guaranteed money. Last year, we finally reached a place where all 32 first-round picks are fully guaranteed deals, and that has started to seep into the second round. You noticed 33rd overall selection, the first pick in the second round, Carson Schweisinger for the Browns, was guaranteed money, was guaranteed his entire contract. The same with the Houston Texans' Jaden Higgins. So now we are on the 35th pick, Nick Emenwari, which was the Titans' original pick. Now we are waiting. Does he accept terms of a non-guaranteed full deal, or does he say, nope, I'm going to hold out? That's what the holdup is. It's like, why hasn't Ole signed? Why hasn't any of these other second-round picks signed? We're waiting on Nick Emenwari to fight the fight or get off the pot.
Who is Ole?
Or Femi, excuse me.
Femi?
Sorry, we were talking
Oladejo?
about Olu Fashanu earlier, and I just combined them. Ole. So that
his friends call him Ole.
Yeah, that is the Quinshon Judkins dilemma. So they have a dilemma in their running back room trying to replace Nick Chubb, now having a lot of noise in the offseason, and they are no stranger to noise in the last few offseasons, and the second-round issue with the guaranteed money.
Yeah.
He is the 36th pick. So he would be after Nick and Worry. And we've already seen the Cleveland Browns, the opposite of the Bengals. They are not broke. They don't act like they're broke.
No,
so
anything but, apparently. They've got money to spare.
Does this situation help, obviously hurts his case to get fully guaranteed money on his rookie contract?
Yeah, and that should not have an impact on everybody else, but at least the optics of the guaranteed money discussion around him could have a ripple effect on other people, even though his situation is obviously unique. All right, so my mind went, because this story broke while me and Fitzy were on the air on Saturday night doing Fox, and my immediate frame of mind went first to the alleged victim, then to the Cleveland Browns as an organization, because one organization, I'm honestly surprised I didn't get in trouble for this on national radio, but I compared being a Browns fan to being a heroin addict, because you know it's bad for you, but you just can't quit it anyway.
Chasing that dragon.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how Browns fans, and they are one of the most loyal fan bases in the NFL, and I have tremendous respect for them because their product is historically awful. But Browns fans that continue to subject themselves to an organization that makes bad decisions as far as the people that they bring in there. And listen, any NFL organization, if you go through the history of them, they will have made bad personnel decisions or bad coaching hires or, brought in bad people to do jobs that are important. So, and human behavior is the least predictable thing that you could possibly account for. So I'm sure when the Browns drafted him, they had no idea that he would allegedly punch a woman in the face. But the organization that also has Kareem Hunt on their resume and Deshaun Watson on their resume, and Josh Gordon was a different incident, but Josh Gordon on their resume, right? Like, Browns fans and their decision, not the least of which is the quarterback conundrum that they seem to have made entirely of their own volition this year, an absolute mess with Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett and Shedeur Sanders, who's tweeting late last night,
it'll all work out.
It'll all work out.
It'll all work out.
What is he talking about? Maybe don't tweet right now, bud. Just lay low.
Especially when we know this is when you like to speed. Like, you don't need to be tweeting while speeding.
I feel like this is just a product of me getting older, Robert, but like, I am so shut up and dribble about Shedeur Sanders.
Get off my lawn. We have to spin the wheel again.
All right, go.
Can't get sucked into the Shedeur hole.
Yeah, I know. I could sit there and pitch for hours.
We're already at 55, so one of these. No! If you would like to chime in with Buck as a wrestler, you are going to have to do so on the poll. You can do that at Buck Rising.
Well, we can do that at the end of the show.
We'll do it at the end of the show. So we landed on UFC in Nashville. The biggest takeaway from this is Derek Lewis is an animal. First-round knockout of his opponent. He mooned the crowd. He talked about how he's like, I don't understand the language they're saying, but they've been talking crap this whole time. So he made sure to get down as a dog, mark his territory, bark in their direction, and he had a special message for his lady after the fight. Have you heard this?
I have.
What do you want next, my friend?
I've been gone for 2 weeks, so I want my wife next.
Great answer.
It's going to be a lot of ground and pounding. Ground and pounding. She know what it is. Fine ass.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the beast.
She know what it is.
He said fine ass.
With her fine ass. When Lucas comes back.
She know what it is. Fine ass.
All the time.
He's going to be so tan and so updated to Brazilian terms. Like, his butt.
His BBL will have been updated.
Well,
I'm assuming he's going down there for surgery. Because you and I went to that hot dog place with him last week, and I swear to God, his butt has gotten bigger.
It was massive. He knocked over that assortment of dog treats as we walked in. That
was you.
That was me. I was trying to convince Buck that they weren't for humans. They were just for pets.
I was convinced. I almost ate one.
The
She
lady
got upset
very
with you.
upset at me. She was like, stop telling people that. I don't think he's going to be able to sit down when he comes back. So we will have to get him a new seat, get him a stretcher, like perhaps a Dr. Frankenstein slab he can lay on until it's time to do his
we'll just get him Slay's hover round that he's currently sporting at SEC Media Days.
Yeah, that works for me.
But yeah, it was awesome. I watched the Derek Lewis fight. I watched a good bit of. I don't usually watch UFC, and for no particular reason. I'm not against it by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not something I've really ever gravitated towards. But I love the idea that anything here in town was successful, and UFC Nashville seemed to be successful that way, but Derek Lewis at 40 years old, just being that kind of powerful still. He's the UFC's all-time knockout leader. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but that makes a lot of sense. I hope he gets to fight I saw somebody tweet this. I'm not going to take it as my own. I hope he gets to fight crappy fighters until he's like 50, because all this dude does is churn out entertaining fights, entertaining post-match interviews. He is the epitome of what a UFC fighter should be. Entertaining, backs it up, makes me want to watch.
He certainly knows how to put on a show, and it seems like the crowd was entertained. You had a few Titans in attendance. The UFC took a picture of the Titans that were in attendance. J.C. Latham was one of them. I saw Chig was in the picture. Will Levis was as well. I saw some comments after the fact on the picture, like, where is Cam Ward? And I assume he's, training in the offseason, like his YouTube vlog continues to show that he does. All right. In the final hour, the NCAA is at it again. They're doing something unspeakably dumb. We're going to get to that and continue our SEC Media Days preview. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
What's going on? 12:03. Good afternoon. Live from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. SEC Media Day is getting underway today. 3HL is live from Atlanta to keep you up to date on all the SEC happenings. Schools speaking today. Vanderbilt, South Carolina, LSU, and Ole Miss. Lenora Sellers, Shane Beamer, Diego Pavia, and Clark Lee will all be on 3HL today throughout the show. Speaking of SEC, Major League Baseball had their draft get started last night and saw 4 Vols drafted in the first round. The Volunteers led all schools with a program record 8 players selected in the opening 3 rounds of this year's draft, including 4 first-rounders in Liam Doyle, Gavin Keelan, Andrew Fisher, and Marcus Phillips. To the NFL, where the Chiefs have until 4 p.m. Eastern Tuesday to sign franchise tag guard Trey Smith to a multi-year contract extension. Smith will earn $23.4 million on the franchise tag if a long-term deal is not completed by Tuesday's deadline. Trey Smith is a lone player in the NFL on the franchise tag. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. If I said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Just when you think that the NCAA cannot be more incompetent as an institution than it is already historically proven to be, they said, hold my beer. Welcome back to the show. The final hour on this Monday. Been cruising on by. We're going to get you updated with SEC Media Days stuff here in just a second. Lucas is in Brazil for the remainder of the week. I am here with you until Thursday, and then I'm off to the West Coast for my last weekend of freedom before training camp overtakes all of our lives. And Robert Walsh is holding it down. In the meantime, 615-737-1045 is how you join in. Robert, what's my favorite sport in the world?
Curling.
Curling? It's an interesting submission by you. That was a guess. No, it's college basketball. My favorite sport in the world is college basketball. I like covering the NFL because I like football, but I like not covering basketball because it still lets me be a fan of basketball, and football's the job, and that's great. It's a perfect balance. Still get to enjoy my favorite sport without letting it, get overtaken by work stuff. From time to time, obviously, we talk about college basketball on the show when we get to March Madness and stuff like that, but I still get to experience it like I would a fan. March Madness is about as close to a perfect thing as exists in the world of sports. And the NCAA is not content to let a sleeping dog lie that way. They are floating expansion to 72 or 76 teams for March Madness. The Division I basketball committees for men's and women's met last week to discuss possible expansion of the March Madness tournament. No immediate decisions or recommendations have been made, but this is the quote from Dan Gavitt, the NCAA Senior Vice President of Basketball. The still viable outcomes include the tournaments remaining at 68 teams or expanding the fields to either 72 or 76 teams in advance of the 2026 or 2027 championships. Who is asking for this? Other than that there is more money to be made. And I understand that greed has come for college football in the same way that it's come for the NFL, and that one of my favorite quotes of all time is from Tony Kornheiser of ESPN when he will respond to a thing or start a discussion with the answer to all of your questions forever and always is money. Hell, Kornheiser has a book that's just old, repurposed columns that he used to write for the Washington Post called Back for More Cash. Even Tony gets it, right? The answer to all of your questions is money. So I know why they're doing it. It's money. But, no pun intended, at what cost? March Madness is such a special, perfect, unpredictable roller coaster ride of a postseason event. Why water it down even further? And I know it's only, the idea of 4 or 8 more teams being thrown into the mix here. and that there would be more play-in games, I guess, associated with it. But it's perfect the way that it is. I've never identified with Lucas more with his complaints about the direction that college football is heading, when a portion of the population, and I would argue the vast majority of the college football consuming population, just wants things left as they were, or would rather revert back to a time when things were simpler and conferences were geographically centric as opposed to just based on the cash that any conference can grab at any given point in the national television opportunities that come with it. But I was so disheartened today because SEC Media Days are going on, and Greg Sankey is saying he's in support of it. And his duty is to university presidents and to his member institutions, and he is tasked with, just like Roger Goodell or a commissioner of any other league, is tasked with making as much money for their member institutions as humanly possible. Greg Sankey is saying that he thinks there are enough quality teams to make this growth appropriate. Nothing in college basketball is static, so tournament expansion is certainly worth exploring. It depresses me because it happens to every sport. It's going to come for us all eventually. But like March Madness feels like the one last bastion of hope for college sports purity. It's the only thing with the NCAA's name in the title that isn't associated with the NCAA's incompetence. And so they're not content to not just wreck everything else around them. They're going to take out college basketball next too. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. So again, this is not an immediate thing, but once it's being floated, once it's being discussed, once Greg Sankey is being asked questions about it and giving answers to that effect, it's only a matter of time, whether it's 26 or 27, that this ends up coming down.
It just sucks because, like, I don't know what it accomplishes
Nothing.
other than making money.
That is the only thing.
Like, okay, can we not? I don't know. This is going to be dumb because, like, they haven't been able to do it before. But, like, can we not build up the NIT and the CIT and the BIT, like, to make all of these things, like?
What is BIT? Best in tournament?
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. I was just saying ITs. MIT? Can we not just make those bigger and you can make more money like that? Like, maybe don't have so many good teams make the cut. Like, make Carolina. I don't know. Most people just deny their bids to those tournaments when they get to them. But, like,
Indiana famously turns down NIT bids all the time.
This to me, just seems like a stupid cash grab. And it doesn't change the basketball anymore. It's not going to...
The basketball's not getting better.
Oh, what are you going to... Okay, maybe I could listen to them say that they would open up the play-in field. Like, oh, the play-in field has grown, and we're going to have more games like that. But, like, adding teams to the field is
They're going to justify this, Robert. They're going to justify this by saying, well, with the revenue-sharing model that's coming for collegiate athletics, we got to find new ways to drive revenue. So now, the NCAA, the EA college football game is going to be a source of revenue. Do you see what I think I told you last night on primetime what Delaware is doing? Delaware Blue Hens, they're in FBS for the first time last season. They've been an FCS powerhouse for 100 years, but they're playing Division I college football now in Delaware. And because there is revenue generation derived off how many people play with your program in the new EA college football game, they are offering essentially a sweet night to a Delaware Blue Hens game for a number of entrants who win the national championship with the Delaware Blue Hens, which is smart because that extra, I don't know how much money that would actually account for, but it ends up being, an extra 10 grand in your bottom line. And I'm sure a program like Delaware that's competing in the FBS for the first time or just competed in the FBS for the first time is looking around realizing, oh, we need more resources here. We're going to try and maximize anything that we can. But I hate when things like collegiate athletics cry poor. Your television contracts are monstrous. They are in the billions with a B. And I know that collegiate athletics and the revenue generated from them supports more than just the revenue generating sports. But you all are going to tell us after a couple of years that you're not going to support softball or women's tennis or whatever non-revenue generating sports you're going to give the axe to when the revenue sharing model comes down. So don't tell me that you don't have the money for these things and that this is a means of driving more revenue so that you can support the things that you're ultimately going to end up shuttering down the line at some point anyway. It is, to me, the definition of greed in sports.
Worth noting, Delaware football tweeted about 45 minutes ago the map of their takeover of the United States, how many teams have been submitted. There is not a Tennessee submission yet for Delaware. So if someone would like to,
All right.
I think the parameters for this is you have to lead Delaware to a national championship. It does not say it has to be on Heisman or anything, so just play on rookie. It'll be easy. A screenshot of your final season or playoff results and a short reaction video showing your celebration after winning it all can get you a VIP game day experience at Delaware Stadium, including on-field and club access for a home game of your choice, plus a Blue Hens Coaches Gear prize pack. I will not be taking them up on this.
No?
No,
You're too busy making money for ECU?
my business is needed elsewhere.
Didn't you transfer to Kentucky, though?
That's my player.
Why are you helping Kentucky raise money?
I'm out of Kentucky now. I'm off to UCLA.
So
I was
wait,
just there
you
to get the
playing
bag.
as a my player does not impact the revenue generation. It's just playing with a program.
Only Dynasty. Okay. Only Dynasty does it have a impact. And you better believe that I will be playing as my Pirates.
615-737-1045 is the number. SEC Media Days are ongoing. 3HL is obviously down in Atlanta, giving you great coverage, great interviews that they will have all throughout the course of the week. We made Lucas, before he went to Brazil, cut a couple of one big things, I guess you need to know about each program each day. So we did our SEC Media Days preview of LSU and South Carolina. We will talk about Ole Miss and Vanderbilt coming up next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Lunch hour is officially upon us. I've been thinking about hot chicken for an hour now. I've been thinking about hot chicken basically since we started working with Hattie B's, but just those grilled tenders, man, they get me every time. I know some people go for the fried. I know some people are there for the sides, but for me, it's a grilled tender sandwich.
I was ultra disappointed in my turkey chili today, and I just wondered how much better would my turkey chili be if it was made by Hattie B's. It'd be chicken chili.
You were disappointed in the turkey chili? I thought you said the turkey chili was good.
It was good.
It smelled good.
It just pales in comparison.
Oh, fair enough.
To Hattie B's.
That's true. I had 2 slices of an heirloom tomato today and cottage cheese, which is why I'm thinking about grilled chicken tenders.
Ooh, you skinny girl.
Yeah, I got to go to the beach at the end of the week. I'm not trying to look like a whale out there. You gotta slim it down, baby. We're doing 2 days at the gym. I'm gonna go to the sauna twice in the next couple of days. We're getting rid of whatever's left hanging around here. I had an almond flour brownie at like 11 o'clock last night.
Shut up, dude.
They're
you
so
sound
good.
like such a L7 weenie right
That's
now.
fine. I don't care.
I don't want to look like a beached whale. Buddy, I've been to
There's
the beach
nothing
my
worse.
entire life and looked like that.
I know. I understand, but that's my choice.
I know. You don't have to say I know. We know you know. I'm going to be pretty one day, and I'm going to treat you like crap, dude. Wait till I'm pretty.
You Purdy. Well, is that how you said it? Purdy? Like Brock Purdy?
Pretty. One day I will be. Once I escape from this chrysalis, I will once again adorn the world in my beauty. Is that what you want me to sound like? I don't sound like that.
I just thought you were talking about the 49ers quarterback for a second.
No, I will be pretty. I will be gorgeous one day. Yes, and when all the women come up and be like, who is this disgusting creature hanging out with you? No longer will they be speaking of me. They will be talking about you. And I will be able to tell them that, this is the man who is sponsored by Preparation H because his hemorrhoids are so large. That's what we call him, large hemorrhoids.
You already try that, and it doesn't work.
It does work. They laughed. I didn't like that they laughed at it because if someone told me or they made that joke about me, people would be like, oh, I bet he does have bad hemorrhoids.
Well, you look like you would have a perpetual hemorrhoid.
I don't. It's not perpetual.
I do not.
I have beat it back. I don't have a hemorrhoid anymore.
I have beat it back. Is a crazy line. So anyway, Hattie B's Hot Chicken. It's lunchtime. Go check them out.
You didn't have to bring it all the way back.
We're going to get into some SEC Media Day stuff with Vanderbilt and Ole Miss. Obviously, those are 2 of the 4 institutions that are at the podium today. 3HL doing excellent work. They're going to have Diego Pavia. They're going to have Lenora Sellers. They're going to have Clark Lee and Shane Beamer. And we are going to take a look at one big thing for Ole Miss and Vandy momentarily. But we were just talking about NCAA tournament expansion is something that the NCAA is pushing for. Greg Sankey has now put his voice behind it from SEC Media Day, saying it's at least worth exploring, which means to me at some point, I don't know when, but it sounds inevitable, and that makes me sad. From 68 teams currently to potentially 72 or 76, and people have called in about that, so we will take your phone call, 615-737-1045. How about Clyde and Lebanon?
Yes, what about killing 2 birds with 1 stone? Make the NIT a play-in tournament for the NCAA. That way you make the NIT relevant again and add teams to the NCAA tournament.
I actually love that idea, Clyde. I just think that they are trying to monetize, like they already have the NIT, right? The NIT makes the money that it makes. The contracts, the television contracts are what they are. You could, I suppose, expand the NIT, and so what are you going to do? So I guess in that scenario, would you then have the NIT as a lead-in to the NCAA tournament?
Yes, and you can maybe even go one further and make the non-Big Five conferences or Big Four, whatever it is now, make those a non-Big Four in that NIT tournament. And that way you could get more of those teams in there, and it wouldn't necessarily, the big tournament conferences wouldn't necessarily cannibalize the added teams.
Yeah, and I appreciate the call, Clyde. Thank you for it. It's not a bad suggestion, but I just think that what they're trying to do is emphasize we want to make more money on the NCAA tournament, and that institutions will, as they try and revenue share, will generate more money as a result of the NCAA tournament as opposed to the NIT.
But as far as getting 2 birds stoned at once, I think Clyde's right on it.
That sounds like something you've tried.
Just one at a time. You think I'm sharing with 2 birds? Stop it. Clyde, also a name you do not hear anymore. I'm going to name my kid Clyde.
You already decided on the name for your yet unborn child.
Oh, what's this? I got to find it.
Find me the Peruvian jockey race, and then we can decide whether or not your child should be named Clyde Lee Walsh or whatever it was that the Peruvian jockey was named that won the jockey races.
Jose Letona, Young Americo Flores. Chichi Torres.
Chichi
Torre. No, it's not Torres. I'm not taking Torres. I'm making it my own. I'm making it Chichi Torre. That's a badass name. The Young American, Pelo Fraca, or something like that.
Just answer the damn phones. 615-737-1045 is the number. Yeah, the idea of incorporating the NIT as a lead-in into the NCAA tournament is intriguing. I'm sure there are some pitfalls there that we are not recognizing outright. But I wish they would leave. It feels like that clip on social media a couple of years ago. This was like at the advent of YouTube. That woman screaming, "Leave Britney Spears alone! Leave Britney alone!" That's just how I feel about the NCAA tournament. Just leave my baby alone. Leave it be. It's perfect the way that it is. All right, so Ole Miss and then Vanderbilt. Let's hear one big thing about the Ole Miss, what are they, Rebels, Black Bears, Land Sharks, whatever, Lane Kiffin's football team.
One big thing for Ole Miss football in 2025 is next man up. Lane Kiffin's got this program in the best place that it's been in the modern era. 3 10-win seasons in the last 4 years. Last year included, but some disappointment that colored the season when you slipped up against Kentucky and Florida and missed out on the college football playoff. Now Ole Miss makes another run at it, but they got to do it replacing 14 starters, including your quarterback, Jackson Dart, all-time lead passer in the program's history, first-round pick to the New York Giants. So in comes the lefty, Austin Simmons, who we've seen glimpses of. We saw him lead a long, successful drive against Georgia last year, spelling Jackson Dart for a little bit in that blowout win over the Bulldogs at home. And now it's his time to shine. But it's not just the quarterback position. They're replacing 4 starters on the offensive line. They're replacing their best wide receiver in Trey Harris. And they're replacing that defensive front that was arguably the best in the country. Walter Nolan's gone. J.J. Pegues, Jared Ivey, all of those guys gone to the NFL draft after setting a school record of 52 sacks in a season. So what does Lane Kiffin do? He pilfers the transfer portal. They've got some big-time players coming back. Caden Lee, a reliable receiver, over 800 yards as a sophomore last year. But they go into the portal. They get Harrison Wallace III out of Penn State. They bring in some other guys. Defensively, you've got redshirt sophomore Jamarius Brown on the edge. He was a freshman All-American last season. They go into the portal. They pick up Princewell Umanmielen, Deshaun Womack from Nebraska and from LSU on the edge. So they have done a nice job of replacing these players, but will it all come together? This is the risk of building a team in the transfer portal the way schools like Ole Miss tend to do. That's not to say that they don't have that high level of recruiting foundation. They do, higher than Ole Miss football is used to, but if you get one portal class wrong, that can tank your whole season. A lot of this rides on Austin Simmons, the quarterback, yes. A lot of it also rides on new parts and pieces as Ole Miss looks to make that first ever run to the college football playoff. Next man up for Ole Miss football in 2025.
What was that child doing in the background?
I'm not sure. It must have been a daycare day here at the studios.
Oh, my God. Talk about a nightmare.
If there were children
bring your kids to work? No.
Oh, what about bring your cats to work, though?
Oh, I'm down.
Oh, that would be so much fun. Have Goldie back here.
Winston and Paris back there.
Oh, I wouldn't bring Paris. No, she misbehaves. Winston would be allowed to come, though. I thought it was interesting.
By the way, the Ole Miss quarterback is also on 3HL today. Correct.
That is an important distinction. He notes one big missing piece from Ole Miss's defensive line, J.J. Pegues. J.J. Pegues had, I think, the most rushing touchdowns by a defensive lineman in NFL history. I would have to check that out. I'm sure someone else is
NFL history?
In college football history. He is on the Raiders now. So the Raiders could have a new fullback for that top 10 list that we need next year, Jeremy Fowler.
You are not going to peer pressure Jeremy Fowler into making a top 10 fullback list.
You know, everyone is so much luckier that I'm not on the morning show anymore. Jeremy Fowler comes on the morning show there a lot. He and Ramon have had a lot of correspondence over the years because I would talk his ear off about having a fullback ranking.
You would try and bully him into ranking the fullbacks. The NFL executives be like, what do you mean? The position that we are trying to actively phase out of the NFL, you want us to rank them?
No. You know it's cyclical. You know that they're going to be like, we all have to pass to win. And now running the football is coming back. They're going to miss having large humans, and the fullback will make a resurgence.
What is Lane Kiffin's trajectory at Ole Miss? He, to me, and not just because, I enjoy Lane Kiffin and I enjoy his sense of humor, or I love that he's bothering Hugh Freeze on social media by tweeting pictures of fishing, him going on fishing trips and golf and commenting on Hugh Freeze's golf game because there was some allegations that Hugh Freeze is playing too much golf. Kind of like Trump's first term. People are like, why is he playing so much golf? He needs to be, he needs to be more presidential. Like, people can't have hobbies in their free time, even though you're running the free world. That was of all the criticisms of heads of state. I feel like, they should be allowed to play a little golf every once in a while. But Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss is the second most interesting figure in the SEC to me. The first is Brian Kelly, because Brian Kelly's outlook at LSU, he has a roster that should make the college football playoff. He may even have the best quarterback in the best conference in college football in Garrett Nussmeier. We'll see if Lenora Sellers makes a case or if Arch Manning, lives up to the tremendous amount of hype that is around him right now, fairly or unfairly. But Lane Kiffin, having as much public commentary last year about, the drawbacks of conference championship games and the formatting of the playoff, just to basically, for his team, I won't say him specifically, but for he and his team to choke away an opportunity at the postseason, I don't think there's any real, the pressure on Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss is not what it is on Brian Kelly at LSU, where national championship aspirations are an annual expectation. Ole Miss feels like they want to compete, they want to get there, but for the most part, they're just kind of happy to be there. And maybe that's a mischaracterization. I'm sure there's Ole Miss fans out there. There's many in Nashville who would probably push back on the idea of that and want to be talked about as a national championship. You remember we were at that bar we were at Mother's Ruin a couple of weeks ago, maybe months ago at this point in time. And
years ago.
It was not years ago. It was within
a month and a half.
It was within the last month and a half, I think. And we were accosted, or I was accosted by two listeners of the show who stopped me and said how much they enjoy the show, but that we were sleeping on Ole Miss football and that we were not giving them enough credit. And then my response was to say, well, what happened to when people tried to give you credit to being a college football playoff contender last year and you kind of pooped the bed? And they were not as quick with a retort, and we moved on as a result. But what's more likely to happen? Lane Kiffin gets fired at Ole Miss, or Lane Kiffin leaves Ole Miss to go somewhere better?
Oh, that's a good question. I wish Lucas was here to answer it. I wonder how long it will take Ole Miss fans to turn into Michigan, Ohio State fans, Jim Harbaugh, Ryan Day, in that same situation where it's like you have all the experience, you have all the talent necessary. When are you going to break through? No longer can you claim, all of these other people have more talent than you do. Look how many people we put in the NFL every year. Look how many high draft picks come off of our team. We should be competing. We should be in the college football playoff.
That's what Brandon on YouTube says. He says, that's a lot of talent to not make the playoffs.
I wonder how long.
Talking about last year's team specifically.
Right. Until people are like, all right, we're tired of seeing you go on shopping sprees with your daughters at Zara. We don't give a rip what they're wearing. Go win some games.
Some perverts on the internet seem to.
I would probably say that he gets fired before he leaves. What's a better job that's going to come knocking? I think that would be tough to answer. I don't know if there's a job that he would be able to pull out and be like, oh, this is a much better spot than where I'm at currently.
It's not one that, my mind immediately went to what happens if they fire Lincoln Riley at USC, but I don't know if Lane Kiffin at USC is ever something that could happen again.
I thought Kalen DeBoer too, but again.
At Alabama?
Yeah, but
I
it's
think
a whole lot of hope and praying, you know what I mean?
I'm probably too hard. LSU. If Brian Kelly gets fired, because I don't know if you saw these Greg McElroy comments. We'll probably talk about him tomorrow, where he's saying that he thinks Nick Saban could end up back coaching in college football. And if Brian Kelly gets fired at LSU, wouldn't LSU love to have Nick Saban back and win national championships again? But LSU feels like the best, potentially not yet available, but should be or could be, more likely, could be available job at season's end. I don't know if Lane may like his situation in Oxford just fine and have no real aspirations beyond what he's doing and coaching high major college football and at least being in the conversation, being in the mix, because Lane Kiffin is going to be talked about no matter where he goes. But I mean, Lane is still young relative to the rest of college football coaching. He can have another career arc after Ole Miss. I just don't know when that might be. Vanderbilt is also at the podium today. They will speak here a little later. And as I mentioned, Diego Pavia and Clark Lee are both on 3HL later this afternoon. Let's hear one big thing about Vandy football in 2025.
One big thing for Vanderbilt football in 2025 is a question. What's the ceiling of this program under Clark Lee? Because I feel like we're about to find out this coming season. He could prove us wrong down the road. Vanderbilt recruiting could improve. They can elevate from where they currently are. But returning a stalwart, a spark plug in your quarterback, Diego Pavia, returning potentially the best tight end in the NFL draft next year in Eli Stowers, and returning a pretty stout defensive backfield and some other parts and pieces. This feels like the best opportunity for Vanderbilt in the Clark Lee era to show that their ceiling is something greater than a 6 to 7 win season, which they obviously did last year. There are question marks, of course. Offensive line will have 4 new starters, a lot of new transfers in place. Could still be a bottom tier unit in the SEC. They'll have to prove that they're not. And Clark Lee's not calling defensive plays in 2025. He's handed that over to Steve Gregory, who's a former safeties coach, and this will be his first time as a defensive play caller. How will that work out for this Vanderbilt defense? They've got some nice talent there, especially, like I said, in the cornerback room, in the defensive backfield. It's very deep back there, especially at corner. Can Vanderbilt lean into their strengths, and can Diego Pavia stay healthy? Can he keep his style of play, that moxie that has him throwing himself into defenders, leading his team, never sliding, never running out of bounds? That kind of sputtered a little bit at the end of the last regular season. Can they protect him better? Can he protect himself better without losing that edge? To me, is a huge question mark for Vandy football. Anything above a 6-win regular season is a success for Vandy this year, but Diego Pavia says they're going to run the state of Tennessee, so can they prove it in 2025?
One big thing on Vandy football. Diego Pavia, now that there's actual expectations on him, and he's creating these expectations, right? I'd be curious to see how he handles SEC Media Days. They are going to, the Vanderbilt offense is out there on tape now. People are going to have a plan for it. And I don't think, on the teams that got by Vandy last year, Alabama specifically, I don't think they're going to be interested in getting pantsed again. Man, what a world it would be if Vandy turned into a 7 to 8 win. I guess in this scenario, are there reasonable expectations to be placed on Vanderbilt that they could break through and win more than 7 games here this year? Their schedule is not forgiving necessarily, but that's what we said about it last year, and they had some opportunities, specifically Georgia State. We've talked about that game quite some time. They could have been an 8-win football program last year had they not lost to an inferior opponent, though Georgia State does stay bothering people and upsetting teams that they shouldn't upset. Here, at least in the last couple of years, Tennessee fans know that well.
Biggest nugget that wasn't included there, it's because these were recorded last week. We learned that this morning. I'll read Pete Thamel's report. SEC Media Day nugget. Vanderbilt All-SEC returner and starting cornerback Martell Height will play wide receiver for the Commodores this fall. Coach Clark Lee told ESPN he took snaps there this spring, and Lee is going to expand on Height's expanded role today at SEC Media Day. So excited to hear their conversation with Clark Lee. I'm sure this will come up. Excited to see the role they see for him. Tennessee has one in Boo Carter, a player that's going to play both offense and defense. It seems like it's becoming a trend after Travis Hunter winning the Heisman last year, playing both ways, being the second overall player selected. Is this going to be a trend going forward? Are we going to see the most athletic players on college rosters saying, I can play both ways? Play me both ways, coach.
Depending on what those positions are, if they're financially viable, and if that makes them more financially viable in the NIL landscape, then hell yeah.
See,
it's kind of like Steph Curry and the advent, or not the advent, but the popularization. That's not a right word. How popular Steph Curry made, trying to pull up from the logo and stuff like that. When in reality, Steph Curry is one of the best shooters, if not the best shooter in NBA history. And you are not as athletic or lack the hand-eye coordination, but kids are going to try it, right? It's like it's almost like OBJ's hairstyle there for a while, or Patrick Mahomes, and kind of like the trends that those players set, or the way that these guys play, right? People will watch them, kids will emulate them, and they will try, and you will see adjustments to the sports as a result, specifically to playing style. I would be shocked if we didn't see more and more of this, and I wouldn't blame kids for trying it.
Yeah, we've got the lamest kind right now. Like, oh, I'm skinny, I'm fast, I can play wide receiver and corner. Give me a defensive lineman who kicks field goals. Cowards. Give me the cool stuff. Oh, I'm an offensive lineman and I'm also a safety. Like, I need to see the mold and the meld together pieces of positions. Give me Frankenstein's monster as a college player. Give me a basketball player who also pitches, and then he's also a quarterback. Give me Air Bud. I want Air Bud. I need it.
Are you still drunk? An NFL quarterback has been suspended, but not your typical suspension. We'll tell you what's coming up, or what's going on coming up next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Last call for phone calls, if you got them. 615-737-1045 before we get on out of here for the day. The last week without Titans training camp, without Titans football for the foreseeable future. 9 days until Robert, Lucas, and me were all out at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, hanging out, interviewing players. I should probably put together a list of people that we want to interview at some point. We would also take audience participation on that. If you have somebody in particular you want to hear from, like I know the obvious, like Cam Ward, I'm sure somebody you want to hear interviewed, and 3HL has already interviewed Cam Ward on, what was it, the day after you got drafted. But a lot of things have happened since then, and I'm sure Cam will have media availabilities between the opening of training camp and the time that we have him on the show. But we have enjoyed our training camp interview series. So if there are players or coaches or people associated with the Tennessee Titans that you specifically want to hear from, you can DM those to me at Buck Rising on Instagram. And I will take those into account when I submit the list of people that we would like to talk to for the training camp practices. I'm fascinated by what training camp's going to look like this year, but I'm more fascinated by this Teddy Bridgewater story. Tell me what's going on with Teddy Bridgewater and a suspension, but not from the NFL, from coaching high school football.
Yeah, so Yahoo Sports reporting Teddy Bridgewater suspended from Miami Northwestern for repeatedly giving impermissible benefits to his player. You and I were both stunned. We didn't see anything about this over the weekend. That's the first we heard of it. And then I pop on Facebook where everyone should gather all of their information
Famously.
from. And there is a story from 4 days ago from U.S. Sun Sports. They cover Florida sports, saying NFL veteran Teddy Bridgewater has begged fans to help cover expenses for Miami Northwestern squad. The former NFL first-round pick is in his second year of coaching at his old high school, the Miami Northwestern Bulls, and he said that he personally spent $14,000 last year on the Bulls, including Uber rides, athletic recovery services, and pregame meals, among other expenses. Bridgewater wrote, quote, "So hear me out. This is not a cry for help, but more a coach seeking donations. The job will get done one way or another, but to those of you considering donating, I thank you in advance." He told on himself.
Well, and he's since gone to Facebook to clarify what's going on here, because there was an investigation, or it was being alleged that there was an investigation, and this is long, but I'll read it. "Damn people, people done caused all this confusion. Got a phone call tonight, and it's no real investigation going on. I told you I have to be an employee to be investigated. Now the paperwork thing still stands, but there was no investigation. We self-reported. Vern, whoever Vern is, and his administrative homeboys want me gone apparently, and tried to hire one of my dogs like bro wasn't going to lace me up. The suspension came from MNW, and it's impossible to suspend someone who doesn't work for you. So if I'm suspended from MNW, I'm free to go to another school of my choice, but I'm not going anywhere. And if it comes down to it, I will volunteer from the bleachers like I used to in 2018 and 2019 when no one had a problem. This is my last post about this BS."
You talking about Ernest? He was like, you know what I mean, Vern? You ever? I assume that's the only
dumb joke by you.
The only Vern that I'm aware of.
Vern? I don't. How many Verns do you know other than Vern Lundquist?
Vern Gagne, Vern.
I guess Miami Northwestern is MNW.
Correct.
Okay. Mark Ennis, who is a radio host I know from Louisville, who obviously covered Teddy Bridgewater, tweeted, "If your rules cause you to investigate Teddy Bridgewater, your rules are the problem." Because it sounds like the impermissible benefits are that he has more money than other coaches who can invest in their program.
And him noting that, like, there are administrative people who have an issue, obviously, with the way he coaches or the way he handles his business.
Is he alleging that there are administrative people at his school that have a problem with this?
That's the way I heard it.
That's kind of the way it reads, but without knowing specifically who Vern and his administrative homeboys are, as stated in Teddy Bridgewater's Facebook post.
But that's high school, right?
Also, who's still posting on Facebook, like, with messages like that? Maybe they just give you more characters? Other than, like, your aunt.
And maybe that's where all his Facebook parents are. Maybe the parents to his school.
No, parents are for sure on Facebook.
100%. That's where my mom is. Anytime she sees something terrible happening in this city, I will guarantee you I will get a news article sent to me.
From Facebook.
Yes. Wanting to let me know to be careful. Watch out for these things.
That's great. Well, we had a bunch of other stuff to talk about here. It's SpongeBob's birthday. There's Jelly Roll and WWE stuff that we hadn't gotten to, and the Vols cleaned up in the MLB draft. But we can do some of that stuff tomorrow because it's poll time.
We can't do SpongeBob's birthday tomorrow. It's his birthday today.
Okay.
Happy birthday, SpongeBob. He's 39. We're going to change his name to Sponge Robert.
SpongeBob is 8 years older than me?
It's been a minute, dude.
Now, wait. The show is not 39 years old.
SpongeBob is 39 years old.
How do we know the age of SpongeBob?
Because it says it on his driver's license. On his boating license.
He's got his boating license, and that's how they're determining SpongeBob's age. That is crazy. SpongeBob is 8 years older than me.
I assume so. The poll is brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, the most trusted Ford dealership in the South. If Buck was a pro wrestler, who would he be? We got some good submissions here, and I'll walk you through these because I imagine you are not going to have a lot of...
I didn't know any of them.
Okay. Gorgeous George, who was he was a bad guy in like the 80s. He was a feminine character. He came out wearing like pink lace, and it was like, oh, look, he's a womanly man. So someone's just saying that you're very feminine.
Okay.
Damian Sandow, Razor Ramon, Grayson Waller, Gold Dust.
Razor Ramon sounds like somebody that I would not be.
Yeah, you would. He was the cool guy. He was the bad guy. You would not be Razor Ramon.
I'd be the bad guy. I don't know about the cool guy.
You would be Paul Levesque. Which is Triple H's first persona before he became Triple H.
Doesn't he run the thing now?
He does now, yes. But at the time, he was a blue blood man from Connecticut Hunter Hearst Helmsley, who was a fan of the finer things in life. He couldn't be bothered with the poors. That's who I would assume you to be.
Famously. You and Lucas are the poors. You've painted me into this corner where you think I call people who make less money than me poors. It's really just you two.
Yeah, when I met someone at the card show on Friday, appreciate meeting. I believe his name was Alex, his daughter Lily. Great to meet you guys.
You don't know that.
I do know that.
You just made those names up.
They were fantastic
These
people.
aren't even real people.
They were like, they were like, where are you sitting at for Smackdown tonight? I was like, I think we're in like the fifth row. Like, we're near the ring though. I said, are you guys going? She said, no, we'll have to watch at home like the poors. So you have this poor daughter.
The little girl said the poors?
Yes, his poor daughter is like, nope, we'll be watching at home like the poors. So look what you have done. We're going to have to sprint through these polls because we took too long.
That's your fault.
That's not my fault. That's your fault. And in fact, that's the only poll you put out, it looks like.
No, I put out polls. Scroll up. All the polls should be there. I tweeted the polls today. Otherwise, the chat would have informed me that I can't do this without Lucas.
Oh, okay, never mind.
True.
You retweeted my tweet in between putting another poll out. Are you for or against March Madness expansion? 92% say against. I'm inclined to agree with them.
Yep.
Who is the toughest pass rush on the Titans schedule this year? Mr. Donkey says, just spin the wheel, close your eyes, and pick. The entire season was a jailbreak. I'm inclined to agree with him. Let's see. Check. Come on! Probably week one with the Broncos, right?
That's pretty good.
That's who I would say.
We can talk about it tomorrow.
And we have one more. Where should the new Titans offensive line rank this season? Middle of the pack, hopefully. I'm going to say that's it.
24th to 21st. Feels safe. That's going to do it for us today. Prime time tonight. Blaine and Zach next. Have a great rest of your evening. Check out 3HL and all their SEC Media Days coverage.